Whispers from the boardroom, more microtransactions, please. Ignore the backlash, bring them to their knees. Todd smiles from his vault of endless gold, while gamers rage quit, feeling bought and sold. But way to twist the orchestra rebels. Symphony of satire, ringing corporate bells. Final thought. Oh, the great symphony plays on forevermore. Todd Howard's lesson etched in lore. Re-release the pain, hike the price again. Mediocre empires, where does it end? Xbox greed lords, hear our metal roar. Will pirate your seas or just play no more? Air test your fury in the key of good night. Microsoft, turn off the light.
Yo man, in Gotham where the brick stack high, Lego Batman swoops lighting up the sky. Legacy of the Dark Knight, looking so fine, got that reggae rhythm. Games divine, click clack, plastic capes in the breeze. Villains trembling, falling to their knees. From Arkham's ashes, a Lego star's born. This game's so hot, it's Rasta reborn. Oh, Lego Batman, legacy of the Dark Knight, shining so bright, it's still in the fight. Game of the year 2026, it's true. GTA 6 crying, what we gonna do? A Lego game picking up Arkham's crown. Suicide Squad, y'all let us down. Rastabat cave with a brick built vibe. Lego Dark Knight keeping hope alive. Batarang snapping, built from Lego blocks. Penguins waddling, but he's out of stock. Suicide Squad tried, but he crashed and burned. Should have been like this, man, lessons learned. GTA 6, Vice City's looking shook. Lego Batman's got 'em shook in their books. A toy game taking Arkham's holy grail. That's the capes winning, that's the funny tale. Oh, Lego Batman, legacy of the Dark Knight, shining so bright, it's still in the fight. Game of the year 2026, it's true. GTA 6 crying, what we gonna do? A Lego game picking up Arkham's crown. Suicide Squad, y'all let us down. Rastabat cave with a brick built vibe. Lego Dark Knight keeping hope alive.
Good. Oh, wait. Good morning, everybody. There you go. There you go. Hi, how we doing? We vibing? Are you overflowing with detail? No? Well, then I don't know what we're supposed to do. I mean, that's kind of the whole premise of the show, is that you guys glow with style, overflow with detail, and then I'm just kind of here. So what are we doing? I don't know. Those were actually good songs, LMAO. Dude, the AI songs, like, some of them honestly are not bad. They've gotten better and better and better, which is what's kind of horrifying. Like, there is, where is it? Like our famous Concord one is in the old, like, algorithm or whatever they used, whatever you'd call it. So, like, it is based on the old 3.5 version of the app or whatever. And you can kind of tell the voice is a little robotic.
Imagine a hero.
You hear it?
The hero never showed.
There's like a little bit of tinny, there's something with the voice that's just like a little weird and a little off. But then the new V5 stuff is like actually ridiculous. It's like actually a little silly. Like this was one of the Wolverine songs we didn't end up using.
Oh, Wolverine, Insomniac's latest dream machine. Claws out of state of play, what a sight. Snicked in 2020, Stitch feels just right. While Spider-Man swings through the city so free. Web slinging like he's late for therapy. Wolvie's just grunting, popping his blades. No web flu reveals, just berserker raids.
Like, honestly, not bad. It's getting better and better and better. It's like a little ridiculous. Tin Skin, dude, I had not. What? Okay. Robot and android slurs are thoroughly entertaining. My favorite one is Wireback. Filthy Wirebacks, those are funny. Oil Guzzler, that's good. Tin Skin, I've not heard, and that's one of my new favorite. That's one of my new favorite ones. Dude, can you imagine if they made the movie I, Robot? You remember that movie with Will Smith way back in the day? I, Robot. Really good movie, honestly. Like, genuinely really, really good movie. Imagine if they had inserted all these, like, Gen Z robot slurs all the time. They had like some light ones, if I recall correctly, where he calls him like a dishwasher or microwave or something like that. But imagine if he's like, I don't trust no filthy tin skin. That's crazy. That's crazy, man. Oh, anyway. Oh, dude. Oh, that's too bad. I literally just read this. Oh, there's more layoffs. More layoffs. I will talk about that in a second. Dang. We'll talk about that in a minute. Anyway, where did I leave off? Boris, thank you for the sub over on Twitch, my friend. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you. OMG, iRobot is set 10 years from now. Yeah. Yeah. No joke. And I do think the like use of androids will become very, very common. What I genuinely don't know though is like if the broader public is going to accept it. You know, there's some people who are going to be like, oh, that's kind of cool. I can have a robot do my gardening and I don't have to do it or pay anybody. That's cool. I think some people will eat it up. Others, like, they're gonna go and it'll be like the next big thing to protest, and you'll see people like spray painting them like crazy. If you've been to LA, I'm sure they have them in a lot of big cities, but I saw them a lot in LA when we were there in June. And they have these new like little robot delivery dudes that just look like little shopping carts basically, but they drive around, they go to a restaurant, park in front, they send some alert to the restaurant that like Uber Eats whatever robot is here, and then they come. You drop off the bag inside the little robot. It drives to the apartment or to the house miles away. and drops it off, and you pay it like pennies on the dollar for what Uber Eats would typically be.
Luke M.F. Smith donated
you know.
$9.99 through
Thank
Super
you.
Chat. Ghost of Yote Mogs AC Shadows so hard it's actually ridiculous.
I want to make a video breaking down why, like specifically the open world works so much better. But even just in like broad strokes, think of how many times in Ghost of Yote you've paused over like a vista to take in the sights. In Ghost of, or in AC Shadows, there's not really many vistas. Their version of, or their portrayal of that area of Japan is much more densely forested. And I think it's to its own detriment. Like they created an open world game where they were trying desperately to keep you on the roads, which makes it feel really small in comparison and claustrophobic. And it's the difference between like what's realistic versus what's fun in a video game. You know? It's like the Starfield people when Bethesda support is like, well, space is very empty. So it's realistic that there's nothing to do in Starfield. It's like, yeah, but that doesn't mean it's fun, you know? Like that doesn't mean that it's going to be a good video game. Realistic isn't always fun.
Intergalactic Pirate Radio, free live music. Donated
Hell yeah.
$10 through Super Chat.
Thank you.
So, how about that collapse of mainstream gaming, huh? Xbox imploding, Sony stagnating, Nintendo trying to trademark everything under the sun.
Yeah, and apparently it's going quite well for Sony. Of course, if they could not waste $4 billion on stupid acquisitions, I'm sure they would retcon and avoid doing that. But their margins are up since Hiroki Totoki took over. So Sony's PlayStation business is stronger than it's literally ever been on the metric side. Doesn't mean that's how we feel as gamers, but from their numbers standpoint, it's healthier than ever. Nintendo's doing great. They're very happy with how the Switch 2 launched. Even though people complained about it, they still bought it. So they're fine. And then Xbox, I think, is the most obvious one. And really, it's just that they are owned by a $4 trillion giga corporation who's going to do whatever they want without much fear or favor. And as a result, they're going to make huge moves very quickly, very sharply, and perhaps even chaotically, which is what we're seeing now. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through the news and bits, because they had to issue a statement over fake rumors. Whether you believe their statement is a separate issue, but we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that because it's very interesting if you ever have to issue a statement on something like they're issuing a statement on here. It's not good. Not a great sign, but we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. The Mirage DLC. Yeah, I've not looked at it. I saw that it just happened. It like just happened. So I've not looked at the videos or anything like that. So I don't really know what I'm expected or what I should be expecting, but we're going to find out together. We're going to watch it. Do it together, holding hands. It's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. Oh yeah, Lena Khan had a good interview yesterday about with Aatrox, talking about the Xbox price hikes and her work in the FCC during the Microsoft Activision merger. Yeah, well, I mean, it's one of those things where, like, I remember during the midst of all of that, I was like, if I was the almighty God Emperor of gaming, I would not let the acquisition go through. I think competition is great. I think that's how you see better stuff produced. I think that's how you get better prices. And I was like, don't get it twisted. Microsoft is not some like altruistic corporation. They're worth $4 trillion for a reason, and it's because they don't give no Fs, okay? Look at the Fs they give. There ain't none, okay? But, you know, it's well beyond my purview to stop, and seemingly everyone else's purview to stop. So it happened. But there's not much you can do about it now, and nor at the time, because that's just how it works. But yeah, I mean, I still think prices would have raised on Game Pass eventually. I think in broad strokes, what's happened now would have still happened. I think it was somewhat inevitable. It just wouldn't have happened anywhere near as fast. Because when you have $70 billion in that shadow looming over you, raises the stakes a lot. You know, all of a sudden, Satya Nadella is sitting up paying close attention, because you got to remember when they did that acquisition for $70 billion, that was right on the cusp of the AI boom, but it wasn't quite happening yet when they made the commitment. And certainly not to the extent it is now, where Satya is saying that he wants to commit $80 billion a year to AI infrastructure. That's insane. So I bet Satya's like, we could be using that money in a much different way right now. So Satya's probably not thrilled that they bought Activision at this point, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Yeah. No, but to be clear, Alex, I agree. The industry will survive. It will be fine. Like, I'm not one of these doom and gloomers. It's like, oh, gaming crash coming any day now. The industry now is so much bigger than it was in the 80s. Just like when financial markets crashed in 2008, it was certain subsets of the market that crashed primarily. So it was like real estate crashed hard, but other markets did okay. Other markets like, you know, typical lifestyle utilities, tech companies largely did fine. You know, everybody got a dip, but tech company demonstrably recovered tremendously well after an initial period of instability. So, you know, in the same vein, in the games industry, you might see a AAA, like, well, I guess AAA open world, you know, style game crash where people are much more skeptical of those types of games. And I think that's already happened. Probably a couple of years ago when people stopped buying the Forspokens, they stopped buying the Saints Row reboots, games that they would have bought in droves in previous generations. They were like, nope, I'm good. So I think that the crash sort of already happened and the adjustment is happening in real time. So yeah. Caleb, thank you for that one. Destin had a point that if Microsoft didn't buy Activision, then Tencent Saudi or some other Corpo Borg would have bought it and it wouldn't be any better. Thoughts? Well, yeah, well, I feel like sometimes people misunderstand what an acquisition is. It's not like going to the store and you pick something off the shelf and buy it. You know, it's not that Microsoft walked up to Activision and was like, we're buying you now. Typically, 99% of the time with acquisitions, it takes two to tango. These things are very complicated to make happen. So it requires the company to want to sell in order for it to happen. There are exceptions. They're called hostile takeovers, and they are messy and terrible and bad. That's what almost happened with Ubisoft back in like 2014 with Vivendi. Vivendi tried to buy them out without Ubisoft's approval and consent, and it created a mess for a while. But that's not what happened here. So like what's pretty clear is that Activision was starting to shop for offers and they were looking for people who might be interested in buying them out, and then they talked with Microsoft and that's what it was. Same thing with ZeniMax, for example. ZeniMax was looking for a buyer, which is in my opinion why they started getting so freakishly greedy all of a sudden, kind of out of nowhere around that like 2018 period. And it's because they desperately wanted to sell. The ownership was getting older. The board of directors was getting older. People don't realize Donald Trump's brother was on the board of directors of ZeniMax, and he was also getting up there in age and wanted to get a bunch of money pulled out, so they were looking to sell it. So it just happens, you know, this type of thing happens a lot. But anybody who's like, oh, they'd still be independent, I would agree with Destin. I don't think so. They were looking for an out. Whether they would get $70 billion from somebody else is maybe up for debate, but I do think that they would have looked for another company to buy them. Let's see. Okay, this one. But yeah. Yeah, isn't it crazy how quickly things can spin though? Like how quickly the pendulum of all this can swing, of the drama. It's insane. Creatus, thank you also for the 5. Good morning, Lukey. Good to see you. Good to see you too, my friend. Appreciate you. You're missing a metal AI song, says Blake. Yeah, I do have some. I like orchestral metal. That's usually the archetype we use. Hound, thank you for 35 months. Golly, almost 3 years. That's crazy, dude. Thank you for that. Wow, I'm stunned. I feel so old all of a sudden. Spent stroking out today. Nice. Spent stroking out today talking about video games with boomers at my day job, private equity, because of the leveraged buyout of EA. What is this timeline? Yeah, it's a little insane. I remember I was working in real estate when I think it was the ZeniMax acquisition was announced. And so then I went and was trying to explain it all to everybody in the office, because they follow the financial markets, so they see $7.5 billion acquisition, what? And so I had to kind of explain to them what it was, and so that's funny. I was like, this is actually like kind of a big deal. Let's see, Seth, thank you for 6 months. Ooh, baby, man, talking about robots just reminds me of Data in the episode Measure of a Man. I'm not sure Oh, Data. I don't remember that episode, but okay. Interesting. I have to do my homework and research on that to get caught up with it. My goodness. Okay. Silk Song's making me depressed as much as I hated the first Hollow Knight. I'm despising this one. It is not for everybody, certainly. I was talking to a buddy of mine, actually, who gave up on it because he was like, I just kind of realized games are supposed to be fun, and I am miserable. And we can joke like get good and all that, but legitimately games are supposed to be fun. If you're not having fun, don't force yourself to play it. Like if it's not for you, it's not for you. That's totally fine. You know, just like the people that really don't like the even Soulsborne stuff. That's okay. It's just not for you. It's just not for you. That's okay. It's trying especially hard to not be for everybody. Yeah, Alex, that's a good way of putting it. Like, it is unapologetic in its difficulty. Even at times, I think it's like obtusely difficult, and it's just like, yeah, that hard boss fight that was after this like platforming section. Yeah, the checkpoint is before the platforming section. Sucks to suck. And you know, it's just little stuff like that where it's just like, you guys didn't have to do that. You're just like trolling me with this, you know? But yeah, if it's not for you, it's not for you. That's totally fine. Hannah, thank you for the 10. Hey, Luke, glad to catch another stream. Your content is great to listen to while making things. I'm glad. Do you ever, when you're making things and you're listening to somebody talk, do you ever accidentally put something that was in the discussion into what you're making? I do that all the time if I'm writing emails. It happens a lot. It's like a problem where, like, you know, you're listening to a show like Breaking Bad and you're typing an email and you'll read back through it and you just randomly have a Jesse exclamation point in your email about refinancing your house. Do you ever have that? Or is that just me? It's like a problem. At least you got to proofread it. That's what I've learned. Anyway, the games industry is like a soap opera sometimes. Yeah, no, for real. When we're scheduling videos, we just had this conversation with a sponsor the other day. They were like, well, we were looking at maybe targeting like this week in October or something for release. And what videos will we have during that time? And I was like, I can have a general idea, but a lot of the time, like the biggest videos are the ones that are just emergent out of the news. They just pop up out of nowhere because the industry does that. Like a month ago, I would have no idea that we would have spent the entire first week of October talking about the nonsense of Microsoft. But here we are. It's crazy. Making a wooden 3D model airship. Oh, dude, that's kind of cool. That's low-key goated. I will say, so I went and, well, you guys saw, I was traveling this past weekend, which is when I filmed the clip that somehow did like quite well. Shout out to Jacob for cutting it together. But was this it? Yeah. I was traveling and I was in a hotel room trying to film stuff. I had to upload it from the cell service in like on my phone because hotel Wi-Fi, I don't know what the deal is. Hotels got to get this together. I feel like such a like Gen Zoomer, but for real, like their upload speed was like 2 megabit per second in the hotel. Like, what are we doing? It's 2025, fam. What are we doing? That was the premium upgraded version too. God only knows how slow the like free version was. So I felt so stupid. We went to brunch and I had my SD card reader plugged into my phone. And while we're at brunch, I have it sitting on the table, just like uploading nonstop. And it took like a solid 6 hours or something. Jacob had to like text me at one point being like, so where's the video, dumbass? I was like, it's going. It's just super freaking slow. What are you going to do? Yeah. It reminds me when we went to Summer Games Fest, the hotel Wi-Fi at the hotel we were staying at for that event was so slow. No joke. For next year, I'm going to bring my Starlink Mini and we're going to go up to the hotel rooftop pool bar and set it up and upload videos from the rooftop pool because it will, no joke, be about 100 times faster than what we had in the hotel Wi-Fi. It was ridiculous. Granted, most people, it doesn't matter. They'll just like watch TikTok or whatever. But yeah, like for what we were doing, it was not really usable. But when we were up in Cheyenne, the reason I mentioned this, we were up in Cheyenne, and while we were walking around, Jacob and I actually went into a game store. Jacob went into another one too. I only went in the one. Was it Game Master? Oh no, I went into... Can I pull up pictures? I want to shout them out. Well, this one is Olympus Games. We went in here. Super cool little game store. And they had all sorts of models. And these aren't the best pictures. But they had like literal titans. Like Warhammer 40k Titans. They have like all these game tables for people to play Magic at. They had, of course, Warhammer stuff set up. Age of Sigmar stuff set up. It was genuinely really, really cool. It was really awesome. And it's not that common to see game stores like that still doing well. So it was really nice to see. Jacob, I think, said he went into Game Masters. Is this the one you went in, Jacob? Is this it? Yeah, Jacob got Final Fantasy VII for the PS1 for like $20. It was great. A cute little game store. Love to see it. How awesome is that? Look at that. All the oldies. Wow. It's great. So shout out to the game stores in Cheyenne. That's awesome. It was really cool. And you don't tend to see that a lot where I live. Like where I live, I guess real estate's just too expensive to have more like niche stores. There are some, but they're really, really tucked away. But yeah, these were on like main streets. It was really cool to see. Really cool. I sold my PS1 and 64 and most of my games to pick up the new Digimon game. I'm so sorry. I don't know. I don't play Digimon. Let's see. Do it. My wife made fun of me for bringing my Starlink with us on vacation, but that didn't last long. Dude, Harambe's Ghost. What a name, by the way. But also, yeah, when I went to the Bahamas in January, I brought it with me, and boy, am I glad I did, because they had like dial-up internet, like 3G. So not technically dial-up, but they had like a little 3G cellular hotspot, and that was the internet service for this entire like complex of houses that we were staying on. And so I brought my Starlink, and I'm glad I did, because like a few days into our stay there is when Warhorse contacted me and offered me early access, full month early access for reviewing Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. So I downloaded KCD 2 from a satellite in the atmosphere down onto this obscure island in the Bahamas and played it while I was throwing up violently from norovirus. It was quite the vacation. I'll tell you what, I do not wish norovirus on anyone, dude. It is unbelievable. But having KCD 2 to play while throwing up violently was, you know, it made it manageable. It really did. Really did. Anyway, that's a that's a separate thing. So yeah, shout out Starlink. It genuinely is incredible. And I don't know if you saw this, but Starlink bought several bands, like cellular bands, and frequencies, which now will make it For like, I forget when they're kicking it off. It's like a year from now or something. But it will make it so you can connect to Starlink from your phone, because now they've bought those cellular bands and frequencies so they can transmit signals to your phone directly instead of having to have this big satellite dish. So no joke, within probably a year, you're going to start to see people who replace their cell service with Starlink, or they supplement it with Starlink so that they can have cell service or like pretty strong internet literally anywhere, which is ridiculous. It's crazy. I don't know if the bands that they bought allow you to not have clear line of sight, because that's the problem with Starlink stuff, is that you have to have line of sight. I mean, you got to get the satellite dish outside, angle it up into the sky at the area where the satellites are, and then it can't be obstructed by, like, even if there's a tree there, it's a problem. So I don't know if this new tech will fix that, but even if it is like you do need line of sight just for emergencies and stuff, that'll be a lifesaver. Literally anywhere on Earth, if you get lost in the woods or something, or camping, your phone will be able to contact the satellite. That's crazy cool. That's crazy cool. So anyway, we'll see. Starlink is overpriced AF. Well, it depends on what you're like, where you're at and what you're doing. Where I live, up until maybe 6 months ago, 9 months ago, something like that, we only had one internet service provider, and I was paying $300 a month. $300 a month. And my effective upload speed was like 40 megabit per second. Like, it was abysmal. It's terrible. But it was literally the only option where I live, in like the 5 zip codes around me. It was the only option. And so a lot of people moved to Starlink because, yeah, it was more than you can get in like nicer cities with more infrastructure, but it was way, way better than what you could get with the only option, you know? So for some people, yes, it's overpriced. For others, it is way, way cheaper than the garbage they get from the primary provider, because American infrastructure is ass. It's why it's so insane to me that like Microsoft's whole plan is for cloud streaming and cloud gaming. And I'm like, bro, have you left like Bellevue, Washington? Have you left Los Angeles in the last 5 years? Most of America does not have that good of internet. Most of them do not. Okay. Like, they just don't. And so cloud streaming is just not possible. Like, it just doesn't work. Stadia failed for Simulator. Well, yeah, I mean, I think it just came too early. You will probably eventually get to the point where it's sustainable, but in huge parts, even now, still in Colorado, huge parts of Colorado still are relying on old copper-based coax cables and RG6 cables for all of their infrastructure, and it just doesn't work for that. So anyway, did I see the AI Pikachu steak video? I did see an AI video. I didn't see that one. I'll share this brain rot with you real quick, then we'll talk about our topics for today. Oh yeah, I thought this was funny. Hold on.
Money me. Give me money.
Microsoft right
Money
now.
me. Money now. Me a money needing a lot now. Give me money. Money me. Money now. Me a money needing a lot now.
Come on, Phil. Come on. That's pretty funny. Come on. This was the other one.
Life. But
These are those AI Sora videos. These are very good.
you died to the Cannon Minion 8 times in one
So a cop coming in and arresting gamers for their behavior.
Look, man, I'm not here to judge your whole life, but you died to the Cannon Minion 8 times in one lane. At that point, it's disturbance.
That's
of
not a
peace.
law. It's
You
just a
kept
bad
walking up with no
game.
wave, no vision, no flash. You autoed it once, it chunked you.
All right, man, you know why we're here.
I didn't do
You did
anything.
plenty. 53 real-world days on that Paladin, and you're still in Elwyn Forest. You haven't touched a dungeon, no professions past 30, no mount training. That's neglected progression.
I just like the vibe.
Neglected progression.
Are you serious? I didn't do anything.
You did plenty. 0 and 11 on Yasuo with no wards bought, refused to group, and you stole blue from your jungle at level 1. That's griefing.
It's just a bad game.
Things happen. This was a
All right, man, you're under arrest for willful gaming neglect. 3,000 deaths to the Tree Sentinel, still level 1. That's reckless endangerment of your free time.
It's supposed to be hard.
Hard, sure, but you
It's
kept
supposed
charging
to be
straight
hard.
in. No shield, no summons, no stat investment.
Hands
Dude, what
behind
is
your back.
happening?
There you go. Relax.
For what? I
You're
didn't
being
do
detained
anything.
for crimes against mid lane fundamentals. You died 10 times in 15 minutes, kept pushing without vision, and you blew flash for no reason.
That's not illegal.
It is.
Keep your hands back from me, partner. You're under arrest.
For what? I'm literally just playing WoW.
Yeah, and you wiped that raid 3 times in a row, pulled the boss at 70 when the healer wasn't topped, ignored the fire scroll mechanics, and then rolled need on the mount you didn't
Dude,
even
that's
help
not
kill.
a.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Some of the others, dude, like the Michael Jackson ones, are insane.
Your chicken's looking nice, pal.
Woo! Yo, he stole my chicken!
Got a crispy treasure, can't slow me down. Hot and golden, I'm out of this town. Move, move, Friday victory.
Well, get back here.
Run, spin, slide, I'm gliding out the door. Fried love in my arms, can't give it up no more. Hey.
We're cooked, chat. We're cooked. Like, that looked pretty good. That looked pretty real.
Hi, this is Michael Jackson. I need to report a crime.
Sir, what kind of crime are we talking about?
A smooth criminal.
Where is the suspect now?
Right here. It was me. I'm sorry. I
Stay
turned
on the
myself
line
in.
for a moment.
Right here, it's me.
Hey everybody, it's Mike. I'm at work, new job McDonald's. Let me show you around. These are the fryers. Listen to them singing. Beautiful, huh? Golden magic. Over here, soda fountain. 32 flavors of happiness. I'll catch you.
Golden flavor. It's insane. It's insane. Yep. Yeah, exactly. The haggis. I'm so getting scammed when I'm 50. Dude, literally. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm screwed. I'm screwed. Like, it's so good, dude. And this, again, is still considered experimental. Like, I can't even imagine what, like, their proprietary stuff is that they don't release to the public. It's horrifying. It's horrifying. So, anyway, yeah. And we didn't even really see deepfake stuff come into play in the election last year. But, dude, for the next election, 2028... you're going to see videos going around where it's like, oh, did you see this politician went and then like rode on the back of a tiger and like broke them out of a zoo and everything? And you're going to have all these boomers being like, that's unbelievable. We can't put them in the White House. And like, it's going to be so toxic. It's going to be stupid, man. It's going to be real stupid. Buckle up. Buckle up. It's gonna be insane. Logan, thank you for that one. Conspiracy theory: Jim Ryan was an Xbox planter, paid off. How else do you go from winning so hard that Xbox flat out admits they lost several times publicly? I mean, I think that they were winning so hard that they thought, okay, now we can be more experimental because like the battle is over, so now we can experiment with some riskier stuff, and it just didn't pay off. Really, but they're still trying. Biden and Trump COD vibes went hard. Those were funny. Or the other one that I always love. I genuinely don't know if this song is copyrighted. Yeah, the Chinese song. It's so stupid. Oh, it's so stupid. Haters say it's fake. Yeah, dude, for real. They just don't appreciate it. Yeah, the old Obama, Biden, Trump gaming clips, those were really good. Obama, Biden, Trump, AI gaming.
Was anyone else getting that odd smell of Updog today?
Huh?
The weird smell of Updog, you couldn't smell it?
What the hell is Updog?
Not much yourself?
Oh man, fuck you.
Joe, you
No
fucking
way
idiot.
you actually
no way,
fell
man.
for that. You were such a
Jack
loser.
donated
Oh, you
$10
really wanna
through
play this
Super
game,
Chat. Luke, you have to look up The Presidents Play Mass Effect.
The Presidents Play Mass Effect. The Presidents Play Mass Effect. Is this complete edition? Dude, they did 6.5 hours of that? What?
Good morning, afternoon, and evening, gamers. The boys and I are here to take you on a journey through the Mass Effect trilogy. Joe, Donald, y'all locked in?
Hell yeah, Barack. I'm ready to save the galaxy from the Reapers once again, so long as Sleepy Joe doesn't hold us back from success.
We haven't even started the damn game yet, and you're already trying to beef, Donald.
We're beefing because you think we're playing as a goody-good Paragon when Renegade is the way to go.
I am not going to let you dictate things here, Donald. This is a joint effort, and you're in my house.
Yeah, all right, buddy. It won't be your house after I win it back in a year.
And we're already off to a riveting start. Let's just get...
Dude, maybe wouldn't that be the most hilarious thing? Like, I always imagine like aliens watching us to keep it like tabs on how we're using the technology we develop, and they're like, will they make these tools and allow it to tear apart their entire civilization, or will they use it to come together? And then they get a report from one of the other aliens. They're what? They're using it to make parody songs of them singing in languages they don't speak. They're using it to pretend that major political figures are playing obscure video games, not so obscure, but old video games, while insulting each other like toddlers. Like, only humans would do this. That's all I'm saying. Everybody else would be like, oh, we've got to find a way to use it to weaponize against our enemies, and we just use it for memes. But who knows? I wouldn't be surprised if for the, like, in the next handful of elections, you'll start to see like deep fakes coming out of China against American politicians, and like they're gonna be really convincing. They're gonna be scary, dude. And you're gonna have to be like, the politician's gonna be like, I didn't eat that baby. I don't know. Like, yeah, the video looks real, disturbingly real, but I didn't do it. It's not real. And it's going to be so toxic. So just buckle up. Buckle up. Yeah. AOC and Gavin Newsom are playing Madden and Fortnite to appease younger boys, and it's not AI. I did see them. I think it was last election. I think it was Tim Walz was playing Madden. He was like the VP pick for Kamala. Yeah, that whole thing was insane, dude. I am a gaming YouTuber, and I tried not to get into politics or anything, but last election I was reached out to by like a political action committee. And they were asking if I would be interested in doing a paid integration and partnership where I talk about the importance of democracy, and I talk about how it's important to get out and vote. And I was like, well, I mean, of course I believe in the importance of voting and being engaged politically. Like, of course I support that. So as long as I'm just like, get out the vote, I could do that. And they're like, well, no, I mean, you'd want to, like, we wouldn't want you to specifically endorse one candidate, but like you would need to say certain things. It's like, so then I asked them if they were specifically affiliated with a certain campaign, and then they stopped responding. Because I think they're like, oh, no, it got on and got out. But yeah, dude, they were trying to get like gaming YouTubers to make videos and like paid ads to promote a certain political candidate. Indirectly, though, which is kind of insane. And it didn't take a genius, because you're like, so you want me to talk about like the threat to democracy, about the rise of autocracy and stuff in America. They didn't use the word autocracy. It was like the rise of, it was like the risk of totalitarian government and stuff. Like, it didn't take a genius to figure out what they were trying to push. But it was like, bro, I wonder how many other gaming YouTubers took the deal, you know? Like, I wonder. I genuinely wonder. Because I'm sure I was not the only one who they reached out to. I'm sure. Do 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 do. Dude, that song is unironically good. And I don't care what anyone says. Where'd I put that button? Where's the button? Where's the button? Jesse. Where's the button, Jesse? Okay. Real quick little gaming news update. We talked about the downsizing of the team behind Dune the game. And the same publisher and major company, overall company, Funcom, they are now closing Metal Hellsinger developer The Outsiders. So the guys that made that are shutting down. Comes just days after Funcom confirmed it would be making layoffs, just months after million-seller Dune Awakening became the biggest release in its history. The Outsiders is also credited with working on Dune for at least a little bit. It's unclear how many people will lose their jobs at the Stockholm studio as a result of the closure. But yeah, they're shutting down the studio. And if you don't know Metal Hellsinger, this was the game. And it was specifically this one where like you slay to the rhythm. So like you have to fight in rhythm with it. So very, very sad. Too bad. It was a very unique, weird game, but you know, as you can see, overwhelmingly positive English reviews. Recent reviews are very positive. People really liked it. They had a demo out, all sorts of stuff, but apparently wasn't good enough. They're starting to lay people off. So there you go. It's too bad. Sucks that it feels like every time we boot up the stream, it's like, okay, who lost their jobs now? But that's just how it is, man. That's how it is. Okay. Let's see. Fortnite had a whole level for Harrison Walt. Yeah, well, dude, and they're gonna keep doing that type of thing where they're gonna try to find ways to appeal to the young people. But I think they haven't realized that trying to appeal to the young people as like a 60, 70-year-old politician, who probably has never even written an email themselves, it's not like people see through that, you know? People see right through it. It's like one of my favorite clips of all time. Do you guys remember this one? I
don't know who created Pokemon Go, but I'm trying to figure out how we get them to have Pokemon go to the polls.
I mean, it's funny. It's just funny, man. It's just freaking funny. And I feel like this is the face of most people who heard that. Just, really? Really? Like, it literally has nothing to do with the election. It has nothing to do with whether Hillary was the best choice or not. It's just freaking funny when an old person who has no idea about games or gaming culture or like the young people is trying really hard to relate to young people. I'd respect it way more if politicians were like, I have no idea. I don't get the video games. Like I appreciate that you guys like them. I never got into it, you know? I'd respect that more. I'd love that. Like, at least that's real, you know? But like, I don't need a politician to be like, yeah, I actually am really, I play this video game a lot. I play League of Legends all day. It's like, no, you don't. It's okay that you don't, but like, let's not pretend. Let's not be silly. Let's not be silly. Okay. Do I want to get into this first? I can. Let's see. Shout out. Logan says, shout out to game producer Six's Pokemon Sapphire and Dilzen 327's Pokemon Emerald. Absolutely hysterical and goated. Also, Doozy's Rainbow Six Siege. More of the like presidents playing versions. That's fun, at least. Lucas, thank you for the 22 months. Hell yeah. Satya Nadella is cucking the shit out of Phil Spencer and Xbox after ABK already invested in Xbox, but canceled games and price hike is hard to swallow. Yeah. Yes. I think. Yes, I think. I just think that the numbers aren't where they need to be. They literally rolled the dice on Call of Duty going to Game Pass and just kind of hoped that it would like produce positive results, but didn't really know how. And they were just kind of like, we'll see how it works. And it did not work. And now they are hemorrhaging money as a result of it. And now CFO Amy Hood is getting involved to try and salvage it. And when Mama Bear comes home to like force you to fix your crap, it's never a great sign. Here it is. Okay. Well, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this real quick. Okay. Let's do this. Let's take a trip. Let's take a little trip down this lane. Okay. Mart99, by the way, thank you for the sub, and also Kuya Nico, thank you for the sub as well, my friend. Thank you. Appreciate you. New segment. Boomba clap. Let's do this. So we've all heard the news at this point of Microsoft's slow descent into nonsense. And it only continues, my friends. It only continues. You see, the latest, round of news kickstarted, of course, because of the reveal that Call of Duty's inclusion in Game Pass reportedly cost roughly $300 million across console and PC last year alone. Based on the reporting from Bloomberg, that is, it's implied that includes not just lost sales. So people that would have bought it for $70, but got access to it for $10, that's a $60 loss, right? So basically what they did is they seemingly have been tracking users who historically would buy the game, the Call of Duty release at full price, and then would buy microtransactions and all of that. And they tracked the spending over the last year compared to the previous year to see if Game Pass somehow magically did drive up revenue. And it did not. They've lost $300 million as a result. And this is, to put it plainly, an unmitigated disaster. Like, this is just bad. Bad, I believe is the term. And it's so bad that now this lady is getting involved. She came in, talked to Phil. Phil, baby, what are we doing? This is Amy Hood. She is the chief financial officer at Microsoft. And reportedly, she has gotten, she got on the company jet, flew over to Xbox HQ, and she has gone through the books with Phil and his team, and they are trying to find ways to salvage this. Now, they're in between kind of a rock and a hard place because you have a few options, right? When your margins are negative, or at the very least very low. But when you're losing money, you either need to take more money in while keeping costs the same, tracking, or you need to cut costs, or ideally do both. And that's what they're seemingly trying to do here, is they're trying to cut costs and discounts and things to increase their margins. And then they're also trying to bring in more revenue by raising prices on everything. And the other option would be like the full Control-Z option, which would be that Call of Duty is no longer included on Game Pass until like 6 months after it releases. But I think that they've realized at this point that they've done so much marketing implying that it is their day one, that's the whole point of Game Pass. I don't think they want to backtrack on that because Xbox messaging has already been god awful. Can you imagine if they just decided to like start pivoting and going back on stuff? It'd be wild. But paired with this, it further reveals that it seems as though now the future of Xbox hardware is in jeopardy. And that was reported on by several outlets, specifically quoting one well-known leaker who has gotten stuff right with Xbox in the past. And there were other journalists who came out and echoed similar sentiments that Xbox's hardware future is now in jeopardy because they don't know if it's even worth investing in, considering the fact that nobody's buying Xboxes to begin with. We talked a little bit a while back about how Costco has removed Xboxes from sale. You can still buy PlayStations at Costco, but they are not stocking Xboxes anymore. And it's expected that there's going to be several other outlets that also remove the Xbox from store shelves as well, meaning it's going to all of a sudden get pretty hard to buy an Xbox even if you wanted one. And it's just because nobody's buying them and the prices keep going up. So why would they bother messing with that? Like outlets and stores who have limited shelf space will just not, no sweat off their back. So the whole thing is a disaster and a bit of a mess. And when Xbox PR people apparently heard about these rumors and leaks, they actually came out and discussed it. So as you can see, rumor, the future of Xbox is software publishing as next console generation faces doubts. And there's all sorts of rumors and sneakers. So an insider who successfully tipped and hinted at the Xbox shift towards third-party publishing, plans to replace staff with AI tools at Microsoft, dropped a huge rumor regarding the future of Xbox. He said specifically, I've heard that without going into too much detail, not long after the last round of layoffs, next one should be coming Q1 of 26, by the way, and it's going to be just as massive as the last one. Some rumblings out of Xbox started coming out that were a little hard to believe. Specifically, the ramifications of Call of Duty Game Pass Gambit not working out, we're just starting to get properly measured, but the thing that really stuck out to me was that suddenly really concrete plans for actual Microsoft Xbox hardware went from being definitive to up in the air, which was really startling given that this thing was meant to be out relatively soon. It was one of those situations where, despite folks being told, quote, hey, we want to pull the trigger on this in 2026, the steps you would need to take in the lead up to delivering a new console gen weren't being met. Lots of things that were sure things started getting pushed. The Costco retailer pulling Xbox, and apparently they are one of many that we'll be learning about soon, told me all I need to know. To sum it up, the future of Xbox software is publishing with a significantly owned in focus on profitable IPs, Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, Minecraft, Candy Crush, Forza, Horizon, etc. Cloud gaming being the home of Xbox platform, transitioning Game Pass into basically becoming the point of entry subscription for xCloud access, which will continue to drive its price tag higher, by the way. They aren't done with that just yet either. And releasing their software on any device that has a marketplace and users willing to buy their titles. Maybe some OEM thing will take up the Xbox name, but given how clearly a collapse in favorable mindshare and faith in said brand, I'm not sure even a third-party OEM is going to want to have an Xbox console by the time Microsoft is done with their reorienting of the division. Pretty scathing, but basically just paints the picture. The future of Xbox is in software distribution, just like with Windows. Yes, they have Surface laptops, they have Surface hardware, but that's not their business. Their business is software distribution, and they're going to start treating Game Pass and like Xbox as a platform the same way. They also are going to continue doubling down on what they think the future of gaming is, which is cloud streaming. They could be right, and maybe in 10 years, nobody will be using consoles. Could be that they're wrong. I feel like the sort of, this is the last generation thing has been used by many companies throughout the years, and they're always wrong, which doesn't mean that they will be wrong this time. But you remember, like back with the 360 era, everybody was saying there will be no console generation after the, what would end up being the PS4 and Xbox One, because everybody will only play games on mobile. That was something that was commonly said, that the future of gaming is on mobile. Are we playing like the biggest games nowadays on mobile? Like sort of, you could cloud stream it, sort of, but I think pretty clearly the vast majority of people like to play things locally, whether it's on a high-end PC or it's on a console. There are people, yeah, they probably can't tell the difference. They can't tell the difference with the latency and stuff, but more hardcore gamers, the ones that really spend a lot of money and are more, I guess, you could say, well, they're just more committed. They're going to buy high-end hardware and play it that way, especially because if you're big into like Call of Duty, you can tell the difference between a cloud streamed version and a locally run version. Latency is a problem with cloud gaming. It just is. I remember trying to play Hi-Fi Rush through xCloud, and that's a game all about rhythm. And because the latency was so bad, you had to hit the beat literally like a 16th of a beat early on every single one. It was like infuriating because the latency was so bad. I'm sure it's better now, but like that's an issue that they still haven't really resolved. Not to mention that a lot of people throughout the world, and especially America, don't have good enough internet for cloud streaming. But anyway, now Microsoft had to come out and specifically address this. Okay, they gave a statement to Windows Central. They also gave a similar sentiment or an identical statement to like Destin, who reached out. So it seems like they got a statement from Microsoft spokespeople and they started handing it out once they got approval from Phil and his team. What they said was basically equivalent to, they confirmed Xbox hardware plans are still on track. Here's why the rumors are false. And as you can see, Microsoft has provided the following statement echoing our previous report. Quote, "We are actively investing in our future first-party consoles and devices designed, engineered, and built by Xbox. For more details, the community can visit our agreement announcement with AMD," which was the thing they did back in June, where they announced a big deal with AMD to work on the future of Xbox hardware. And I'm sorry, if you have to come out and say that something is not actually being abandoned because everybody thought it was being abandoned, and when they saw reports and leaks saying it's being abandoned, everybody went, yeah, I believe it. It's not good. It's not good. The confidence in the Xbox brand is so low that even according to Xbox, some person is out there making stuff up about it being canceled and abandoned. And it's so believable because of how terribly the brand has been managed and networked with the community that everybody's like, yep, no, I totally buy that. Totally buy that they would abandon their hardware. Makes total sense. Like, and that's assuming that they're telling the truth. I think what the guy said, because I think maybe the statement can be quite telling. What the leaker said, who again has had a pretty good track record recently with stuff, what he said was that they were specifically going, and those plans were up in the air now. So things that were locked down are no longer locked down. Things that were totally agreed upon are now up in the air and not necessarily locked down. And the statement from Xbox is that we are actively investing in our future first-party consoles and devices designed, engineered, built by Xbox. That's their official statement on the matter. It doesn't actually counter what was claimed by the leaker. What the leaker said was that stuff is like still in the works. It's just up in the air now, whether it'll actually seeing itself or end up seeing it all the way through. Like whether or not it'll actually end up releasing when they thought it would or in the way that they thought it would. Like none of this actually contradicts what the leaker was saying, which is also quite interesting. And whether you're an Xbox fanboy, whether you're a Sony pony, a member of the PC Master Race, whatever, I think we can all agree that the messaging and management of the Xbox brand has been an unmitigated disaster this generation. Nobody knows what they're doing. It doesn't seem that even Xbox leadership clearly knows what they're doing. They're just kind of flying by the seat of their pants. The initial pitch for Game Pass was that it's the best value in gaming, that we can keep prices low because of the scale of subscribers that we'll have. We can also offer a ton of amazing games and also niche games that wouldn't historically end up getting produced and published. We can offer those on the service because they are sort of subsidized by the big stuff. So it all works out together and you can create this incredible library of games of big stuff and little stuff all together for a low price. And that was a really cool product offering. That's a cool pitch. Did not end up being the case. Now it seems like the entire platform is being built around the biggest behemoth games of like Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, as they outlined, like the big stuff. And everything else, if it can try and encourage the same sort of, I guess, loop of getting people to subscribe and stay subscribed, then those games can be produced. But it's going to pretty much be totally reliant on the big AAA stuff. Because the money just isn't coming in. And now, weirdly though, this is what's really bizarre. It's almost flipped because the Call of Duty gamble was such a miscalculation. It seems like now the little stuff has to subsidize the big stuff, which is bizarre. Like the deals that smaller games, smaller publishers, smaller developers, the deals they're going to get are going to be impacted by the fact that Call of Duty is losing so much money by being on Game Pass. It's just a disaster. It's just a mess. And it seems like a lot of this is also being pushed by the leadership in the upper echelons of Microsoft. Like I said, it's now being reported on that Amy Hood is coming out and is supervising all of this and is trying to find ways to increase margins and save the business model. But she's doing that by just turning up all the dials on price. And then it's also going to come with a lot of layoffs and restructurings and stuff. And I that's why I totally buy it. And I've heard rumblings of similar stuff, that there's going to be massive layoffs early next year. It's possible, like most likely towards the end of their fiscal year next year. But they're going to start to clean house even more. And it's not just going to be Xbox, to be fair. It's going to be across all of Microsoft. And this is the also kind of stupid thing with the AI stuff. Satya Nadella has pitched that AI is going to be the future of the company. AI is going to increase margin. It's going to allow them to have smaller teams, which is code for laying people off. It's going to have all of these efficiency improvements, but we haven't really seen them. In fact, AI adoption rates are dropping. So companies are adopting AI tools less and less quickly over the last like 2 months compared to where they thought they would be, which is exponentially higher. So it seems like whatever the promise of AI was, there is a lot of potential there, but it's not being met in the way that companies that are producing AI products thought they would be. But Satya needs to save face. So what's Satya going to do? I think he's going to start laying people off and being like, see, these are efficiencies we're able to gain because of AI. So yes, we're laying lots of people off, but we're going to make up for that by using AI tools to replace them. So we're not actually seeing productivity drop by laying these people off. We're actually just seeing costs reduced, but efficiency stays the same, whether or not that's true, because it's been reported on multiple times that Microsoft Teams, including game studios, are being mandated to use Copilot in their workflows. So it's like, yeah, you need to be using Copilot and these AI tools when you are responding to emails, when you are analyzing spreadsheets, when you're doing this or that, because they want you to adopt it. They want it to become normalized and used in the enterprise suites. So I think it's just going to continue going like this. There's going to be mass layoffs. There's going to be games canceled that we thought looked really promising. There's going to be all sorts of cost-cutting measures. And it's just going to keep going and going and going. Prices will continue to rise. I don't think this is the end of like Game Pass price hikes at all. It's just going to keep going. And that's going to be the future of Xbox for a while. Cannot believe it. They had a layup with how PlayStation has run their stuff this generation, but here we are. Here we are, man. Here we are. Yeah, train your job replacement. Yeah, literally. I mean, that's what reportedly happened with the guys over at Microsoft, or King, the developers behind Candy Crush. They were reportedly working on an AI tool to build levels for Candy Crush. They were laid off and replaced by the AI tool they helped build. Does that hurt or what? Does that not just feel so bad? Doesn't feel good. Sure doesn't, but that's going to happen a lot more. A lot more. Just you wait. Because here's the thing. Where's the natural conclusion of like the AI craze? Well, what happened with the dot-com bubble? What happened with the dot-com bubble was that every company that had anything to do with the internet saw massive spikes in massive spikes in stock price, not revenue. So there were stories of like companies that would rebrand and just be like, oh, we are Vectrex Tech, but then they rebrand into vectrextech.com, and that's the name of their company now, and their stock price jumps 10%, and you're like, why? That doesn't make sense. And it's because when everybody thinks there's a gold rush, even if there's a rumbling that there might be gold in them there hills, they sprint over there and throw money at it, because even if there's only a 5% chance or a 1% chance of striking gold, the reward for striking that gold is so immense, it's worth it. it's worth the risk because it is literally just gambling in the financial markets. And that works until people sort of collectively agree that the gold rush is over, that there's no more money that's going to be flowing in. And that can happen with a little bit of iffiness on confidence. It can begin with one company starting to go under or reporting failed projects or loss of revenue, whatever. And that's enough to like jumpstart a scare that spooks everybody. They all start pulling their money out. And just like any other run on the banks, if money starts getting pulled out en masse, then you end up with a crash and major corrections. And I think that that's what's going to happen with the AI stuff. OpenAI will survive. XAI will still be there. Microsoft will still be there. But you're probably going to see like a 10, 20, maybe even 30% drop in some of these companies' stock prices. It's reported that the .com bubble was roughly 1/15 the size of the AI bubble right now. The 2008 financial crisis, it's estimated, was about a quarter as big as the current overvaluations in the AI bubble. That's not good. That is bad. So just saying. It's why I'm sitting on the sidelines with the market right now. I could have my money sitting in some of the big stocks, but after reading some of these like latest breakdowns from like major multi-billion-dollar hedge fund managers, and they are even like, this doesn't make sense. And when the market stops making sense, you should be worried. The other rule of thumb is that the market can stay irrational far longer than you can stay liquid. And that's true, which is why it's dangerous to try and short this type of thing. But it's why somebody like Warren Buffett with Berkshire Hathaway is just sitting on the sidelines with like $170 billion in cash. Because he's like, I'm not going to try to short it. I'm not going to try to time the market. I'm just going to sit on the sidelines. And when it crashes, I get to buy everything on a deep sale. And that's how he's treating it. So who knows? Maybe it happens next week, maybe tomorrow, maybe still 6 months or a year from now is when it adjusts, but the market will adjust for sure. Yeah. So buy gold or like short-term treasuries. There's a few like SGov you can buy, which is sort of an ETF that trades like 0 to 3 month treasuries, and that can yield like, I think it's like 4% or something. So there's ways that you can deal with it. It doesn't have to be just like literally sitting in your account, but anyway. So all of this to say, Microsoft continues to just make blunder after blunder. And again, I think that it's that they are trying to run the company the way that they run other Microsoft software teams and products and services. And you just can't make video games the same way. It's just not the same thing. And they are learning that the hard way. You can tell some obscure company, hey, we this product that we're making for your enterprise software, we like laid off some of the team that was working on it, but we'll still be able to deliver it in Q1 of next year. And they're like, okay, as long as it does what it needs to do, as long as it calculates what we need it to calculate, spits it out, logs the data where it needs to log it, we'll be okay, whatever. Because it's a tool. With video games, you're trying to make a piece of art, and you just cannot build it the same way as like a Microsoft security update for Windows 11. It just doesn't work that way. But they keep trying to treat it like it works that way. And I don't think it's going to go well. Rip to my 401k. As long as you aren't retiring in the next like 10 years, you should be fine. The panic is when you're in trouble. It's specifically panic when the market starts to drop that you end up in trouble. That's when you're in trouble. It's when you get bit. Bro, spoilers. What? Family Guy's giant chicken killed by Megan in season 23 episode. They're just gonna spoil that on X? Dude. What? can't believe that. Yeah, rip chicken. Rip the chicken, am I right? Damn. Valor Mortis open global playtest has begun. You can be one of the first people to experience a first-person Souls-like, the next game from the creators of Ghost Runner. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I do plan on trying that, so I'll let you know what I think. I'll let you know what I think. Okay, let's do this one. Let's do that. This is worse than the time they killed off Brian Griffin. Dude, that was like at least kind of experimental and interesting. And I remember, I think it was Seth MacFarlane was saying, we just wanted to experiment with that as a plot line because we wanted everybody to realize how fragile life is. And I was like, okay, I get that. It's also a cartoon mostly about like farts and poop jokes and stuff. Like it's not like high class cinema. Like it's a cartoon. It's an adult animation comedy cartoon. It like hit very, very hard. It was very funny. It was just interesting. Did you see Marathon announce new playtests publicly? Man, I know how to time a video. Hold on. Marathon playtest. That's a month ago. That's Marathon the game. We're opening Marathon playtest signups for NDA closed tech test October 22nd through the 27th. From the Bungie dev vlog or blog. This is an important checkpoint for us to test our improvements since alpha, including 3 maps. So they have all 3 maps now. We only got to try 2. 5 runner shells. We only had 4 we could try, so they have an additional one. Proximity chat, which they did add, despite saying that they didn't want to add it because they were worried about it being too toxic. The game was received, and like the blowback was so bad that they actually decided to add it, which I find funny because they were like, yeah, we can't add it. We cannot add it because it'll be too toxic. And then the moment that there's like fear that the game won't perform, then they magically find a way to add it. It's funny. It's funny. I think it just like reveals how that was never something they couldn't do. They just didn't want to do it because they were worried about toxicity, which is very dumb. They retuned combat pacing. Apparently the TTK is way, way faster now. Solo queue, interesting, deeper environmental storytelling, and more. That said, the technical test build is a work in progress and will only include a portion of what's planned for Microsoft Marathon's full release. Focus on the early player experience. Prox chat. The solo queue thing is news to me. If they actually are adding a dedicated solo queue where everybody goes in solo, that's interesting because they very forcefully told me that they tried solo queue and it was ass. So if they've retconned that too, that's news to me. That would be interesting. Because apparently they had like data and stuff where they tracked players' like fun levels when they would play solo, and the fun levels were abysmal. People did not like it when they played solo because everybody just played stealthy, popped invisibility, and like crawled everywhere throughout the map. Like engagements were non-existent. It just was not fun. But if they're adding solo queue, that's very interesting to me. That's interesting. Let's see. Okay. AC Mirage free DLC. Well, let's see what we got. Okay. News, Emmett. This was just revealed this morning, like an hour before we're filming this, and like a few minutes before the stream happened. So let's see what they've done, because apparently with AC Mirage, they are overhauling a ton of stuff and adding a free DLC expansion thing. It's very interesting, especially because Ubisoft Bordeaux, which is the team behind this, reportedly, allegedly, will get access to making a brand new standalone Assassin's Creed game that is spiritually a successor to the old school ones. So again, super quick thing. Ubisoft's new plan for Assassin's Creed is not to have the AC Valhalla style game, which is like the massive game that includes little bitty chunks of different archetypes of games where they have like the open world stuff, some stealth stuff, they have random sim stuff, they have the settlement stuff, they have all of these different little systems. Instead of doing that for every single game now, their goal is to have little standalone games, that are like 10 to 20 hours long, where it's all about like stealth. And that's like the goal for Mirage. Or, you know, they have one that's the RPG game like Shadows. And then they have another one that's like a story-based one like Hexe, which reportedly will have a lot of like horror elements and stuff. So the goal for Mirage is for it to be the predecessor to the next era of stealth-based Assassin's Creed games that they are going to head up. So these changes will be really interesting because I think it signals where Bordeaux will take their version of the franchise or their games within the franchise next. So let's see what they're doing.
Oh my god, I'm getting the shivers.
I am getting the shivers. Dude, was it really 22 that they revealed it? I feel so old.
Classic parkour.
There we go. That's what I'm talking about.
This game will be remembered forever.
I think it's going to be one of my favorite Assassin's Creed ever.
Assassin's Creed Mirage just got a huge update. You will.
It's Jor. He's in it. He's talking. He's there. Parkour update, new game plus, permadeath, PS5 Pro patch. iOS release. Hold on. iOS release and Steam release. Okay, yeah.
When nothing is as it seems.
Hello everyone, I'm Miranda, Community Manager on Assassin's Creed, and we are here at Ubisoft Bordeaux to celebrate the second anniversary of Assassin's Creed Mirage. The past 2 years have been spent bringing the game to more people on more platforms, and today we're giving you exactly what so many have been asking for: new content. In today's show, we are going to introduce you to Valley of Memory, the free story expansion to Assassin's Creed Mirage launching in November. Developed by Ubisoft Bordeaux and Ubisoft Paris, Valley of Memory takes place in an entirely new setting and brings a new story, gameplay mechanics, and updates that make Assassin's Creed Mirage better than ever.
I much prefer this over like deeply dense forests and stuff. Maybe I'm just, an old school fan, but like the AC Shadows, AC Valhalla approach of like, just put a big map, put some trees in it, and we'll call it good. Like, I could ramble about Valhalla all day. Just the other day, when we were staying in Cheyenne, visiting some friends and stuff, we went out to Chiba Hut, the ultimate restaurant for young 20-somethings. And I was talking to somebody, and turns out they were a big fan of Assassin's Creed. So I was like, ooh, let's see what she thinks. What's her favorites? She was a huge fan of Valhalla. I didn't tell her that I made a 3-hour hit piece basically on how much I hate Valhalla. But I talked to her about it. We did not see eye to eye. Pretty much everything I hated, she loved. And so I was like, yeah, in the open world, it's just so frustrating to me because it's all sorts of like little bitty breadcrumbs. It's like a junk food game where you're eating nothing but unsalted and unseasoned popcorn at a movie theater. So it doesn't satisfy you. It doesn't taste particularly good, but there's a lot of it. She's like, yeah, I love that. It's great. Like, oh, okay. Well, this is why it made like $1 billion. It's good for me to get some pushback every once in a while. I'll tell you what, like just an honest to God fan out in the wild that just liked it. It was cool to see, but I was not ready for it, frankly.
Gameplay mechanics and updates that make Assassin's Creed Mirage better than ever. Here's an overview of what Valley of Memory has to offer.
Bring it on. And yes, to stress, this is a free DLC. It's free. But I thought Ubisoft was greedy. They can be generous when they want to be. But this is why vocalizing your frustrations, calling out problems when you see them. This is why it can make a difference, because now it's not business as usual at Ubisoft. It seems like they are feeling the pressure to win back goodwill, and that's the key. That's the key. They got the fear of God put in them with some of the stuff that's happened over the last few years. So now they realize they have to win back the public, which stuff like this will help accomplish. Frankly, it will, genuinely. It takes a lot sometimes to recover, but
$10 through Super
this will
Chat.
help.
If I still have to use the Ubisoft launcher, if I buy it on Steam, it could be the best expansion in gaming history, but I ain't using that garbage launcher.
Dude, I won't be specific for obvious reasons, but I was talking to somebody who, I'll just say, was in a position of importance at Ubisoft. And I made a joke about the Ubisoft launcher. It was something like, yeah, what's something we could improve on, was basically the prompt. And I was like, I don't know, could you have your launcher not sign me out every freaking time I boot up my computer? He made an offhand comment where he said something to the effect of, yeah, I hate that effing thing too. So even people at Ubisoft in like major positions of power hate the Ubisoft launcher, but it is what it is now. I think it's because a lot of their systems are built into it, like pretty deeply ingrained. So I don't think it is something they can easily adjust out of, but yeah, it's something they're aware of for sure.
The Mirage team has a surprise for the players. A new storyline and setting coming for free. Basim's adventure is not over. With Assassin's Creed Mirage, we initially set out to celebrate the roots of the franchise.
For ease of understanding, I'm going to turn on subtitles. Fair.
Franchise. As fans ourselves, we wanted this game to be a love letter to Assassin's Creed and to our fans. Following its release in 2023, the overwhelming positive reception inspired us.
Oh, don't worry, Enigma. We'll get to that. Don't worry. Yeah, no, we're circling back to that. Just you wait. Just you wait. You don't get to skip to the end. You gotta wait.
To continuously enhance the game with post-launch updates, including new features and expanded platform availability for PS5 Pro, Steam, and iOS. As we celebrate the 2 years anniversary of Mirage, we want to go even further with a brand new adventure and numerous gameplay improvements. And we are thrilled to offer this exciting new content to all Mirage players for free.
When developing a game, we explore...
How could they do this for free, though? Where could that money possibly come from? We'll get there. Yeah. No, it's very interesting. It's very interesting how a lot of this is working, but we'll get there.
Countless ideas and iterations for the settings in which the story takes place. For Mirage, we ultimately chose 9th century Baghdad as the backdrop. But from the start, we had other fascinating...
Dude, I'm so jealous right now. Dude, imagine just being able to sketch like that. Just being like, hey, I have something in my head. Let me just sketch this out. And then you just sketch that. Get out of here. I'm so jealous right now. I wish I was that talented. Like, look at that. Just casually sketching that in a notebook. Sorry, I'm jealous. Just train. I guess I could practice. I think one of the things is when you're not an artist, you see something like that and you're like, I can't do that, so why even try? When you got to remember, everybody started, some people were always amazingly good at it, but a lot of people are that good because they've practiced it constantly. Yeah, like PewDiePie's video where he just did a year of practice. So yeah, I should practice. I should try that because I would love to be able to sketch stuff like that. Anyway, I'm having an existential crisis. Sorry.
Locations in mind for Basim's journey. To celebrate the game's 2-year anniversary, Ubisoft Bordeaux and Ubisoft Paris teamed up to bring one of these exciting settings to life with an entirely new storyline to discover.
A new journey.
This free new arc is an important part of Basim's coming-of-age story.
There was one aspect of Basim's past that we wish we could have explored further in the main game, his link with his long-lost father Ishaq. This new story arc is called Valley of Memory, because Basim is exploring this new setting in search for answers about his past.
It is a meaningful chapter in Basim's story, unfolding just before the final events of Mirage. It offers players a deeper understanding of why he chose the path that ultimately defines him.
This storyline takes place in a location loaded with history and echoes of the past, the Valley of Al Hula. Our approach to creating this new world had to be anchored in archaeological reality. So we've worked with internal and external experts to ensure faithful inspiration.
Okay.
Al Ula is one of the major heritage sites in the Arabian Peninsula, which is a valley.
The Vice President of Culture. I did not know that was a role. I didn't know that was a thing. Dr. Abdul Rahman Al-Suhaibani.
Of exceptional archaeological remains that span from the prehistory until our days. Al Ula as well is one of the main hubs in the Incense Road that starts from the south of the Arabian Peninsula until the north of it. It's been home of ancient Arab kingdoms such as Kingdom of Dadan, Kingdom of Lahyan, and the Nabatean kingdom that moves from Petra to Hegra around the 1st century BCE. Al Ula also is a home of World Heritage Site in the UNESCO. Hegra is the first site inscribed in the list of the UNESCO, and Jabal Ikma has been added to the World Memory Program.
What makes Al Ula particularly fascinating is that by the 9th century, the period in which the game is set, Hegra, Dedan, Jabal Ikma had all borne more than 1,000 years of history.
That's cool. I do find this area of the world fascinating. It is fascinating. Because it is, there's something so weird to me and also captivating at the idea that even in ancient times, there were still lots of things that were ancient. You know, it's like when you realize that when Cleopatra lived, this is a common anecdote, but when Cleopatra lived, she was like, the pyramids were older to her than she is to us. She's about 2,000 years in the past, but from when she lived, the pyramids had been built like 2,500 years before her. You know, like, it's crazy to me, but that's what I find fascinating. It's the same thing. Even they echoed it in AC Origins too, where, you know, when Bayek is exploring these sites, they're ancient to him. A lot of them are abandoned and are buried in sand and everything. And it's like, yeah, because for him, this was ancient as well. You know, he's of course in the Ptolemaic period, but all of these pyramids and everything are ancient to him and also filled with mystery. And it's just so captivating. It's why, honestly, I was hoping we'd get like an Old Kingdom setting for AC Origins, but who knows, maybe I'll get lucky and they'll go back to Egypt again, but even more ancient Egypt, like ancient Egypt. But it's weird because like this area of the world, Egypt, the Saudi Arabian Peninsula, all of that, it's so ancient that you kind of need additional ancients to communicate how far back we're talking, because it's not just ancient like a couple thousand years ago, it's like ancient, which is wild. But anyway,
The main challenge is to restore the place as it could have been in the 9th century, a flourishing civilization on one side and an ancient wilderness on the other. Just like Golden Age Baghdad, most documentation of this incredibly rich setting was lost to time. And as always, with this Assassin's Creed brand, we want to make sure the setting and the period shine. The recreation process is unique, as it is both an artistic and an historical endeavor.
This research work is
I think that this is one of the strengths of Assassin's Creed that has been largely lost recently, is that like when you go back into well-known historical settings and more modern historical settings, the stakes are risen significantly or raised significantly because people know exactly what happened, what didn't happen, and so they keep a closer eye on all of it. Whereas some of these like older Assassin's Creed games, when they go back in time, you have a lot more artistic freedom with how you can set things up and arrange it. It's why, like, honestly, I know we've talked about maybe an Assassin's Creed game set in World War II, but I could totally see that going poorly. Like, imagine if people were already nitpicking historical accuracy in AC Shadows. Can you imagine what they'd do if you set a game in World War II? I can only imagine it would be a lot. People would be nitpicking, but you know, maybe in time Ubisoft won't have that many eyes on them. Who knows?
The setting and the period shine. The recreation process is unique, as it is both an artistic and an historical endeavor.
This research work is reflected in the history of Al-Ula entries, where the players can collect and read during their adventure. We hope that they will encourage the players to discover more about the fascinating history and the tangible heritage of Al-Ula.
Each region from Valley of Memory has its own flavor. We can find an urban area in the south region with the old town of Valula, overlooked by the ancient Musa ibn Nusayr fort. The town is dense, with its busy streets, its mosque, and of course, its spice market. And very close to the city lies the valley's oasis, a luxurious area full of life and rich with canals used to develop agriculture in the region.
The character's journey from Baghdad to Al-Ula was very logic, especially when we consider that Al-Ula was one of the main hubs of the Incense Road and the crossroad of many civilizations from south of Arabian Peninsula to the north of it. So oases like Al-Ula was always welcoming people.
These routes serve multiple purposes, including commercial, communication, religious, and military. Al-Ula was a bustling hub of activity and exchange, evidenced by the diversity of archaeological remains uncovered here.
This wealth attracts robbers within the city itself, but also in a wider region. The farther you travel from the oasis, the greater the risk of ambush.
The Incense Road goes entirely through the south to the north of Al-Ula, where we can find the most iconic and the most dangerous area of our setting. There, you will discover the stunning necropolises of Hegra, a burial site with over 100 rock-cut tombs and chambers. But the northern area is not limited.
I love exploring some tombs in Assassin's Creed, I'll tell you what. I do love doing it. I wish that they were more puzzle-based, like some of the old school Assassin's Creed games. In the modern ones, where, like the modern ones, it's like, okay, you walk through the door, you slide through a crack, you squeeze through another crack, and boom, you find a treasure chest. Like, I wish there was a little more effort put into it. But again, maybe I'm just old school.
To tombs, the valley is filled with unique rock formation to climb, a dream for all parkour amateurs. Of course, these rocky canyons also provide a perfect playground for robbers and wild fauna to attack you.
We have taken extra care to recreate the most iconic landmarks faithfully, while still providing some fun gameplay.
We challenge ourselves to make this world a new and exciting playground for Assassin's Creed players. We really embraced the specificity of the Al-Ula region. So it's not only focusing on an urban setting, but also taking into account all of the wilderness this land has to offer and putting it at the core of the gameplay experience.
It's more than a new setting. We're refreshing the most appreciated mechanics of Mirage. We're bringing new twists to the core facets of the Assassin's playstyle: stealth, parkour, and assassination. Because exploring this new location won't be that easy.
Stealth, parkour, and assassination in an Assassin's Creed game? They've lost their damn minds. They've lost their damn minds. What is this, 2009?
Even if Basim is just looking for his father, he'll get in the way of this gang of robbers terrorizing the region, especially the fearless leader, Arabis. There's also many new surprises and side activities, new contracts, missions, and parkour challenges. You can even play the Oud in Al-Ula.
Oh, wait, look at the cat.
Parkour challenges. You can even...
Look at the cat. Oh, wow, that's pretty cute. Or the birds listening. That's pretty cute. That's pretty cute. Yawning. That's pretty cute. Okay. Okay. The other birds up in the tree. Okay. Anyway, sorry.
Play the Oud in Al-Ula.
We are dedicated to making sure that every part of what made Mirage special is represented in this new free content, from the main story to the unique setting and side activities. There is more than 6 hours of gameplay, but we haven't stopped there.
Have you ever wanted to see an Xbox Series X dev kit?
There is more.
That's it. That's it right there. You see it? There you go. That's probably cheaper than a new one.
More than 6 hours of gameplay, but we haven't stopped there.
In addition to this adventure, Mirage will benefit from a massive free update for both Baghdad and this new location. We're opening the possibility to replay the main missions of Basim's story with associated new rewards, alongside improved parkour mechanics that offer new moves like a free jump, as well as new tools upgrades, and brand new visual filters paying tribute to previous AC games like Origins or Odyssey. It's without doubt the perfect time to replay Mirage.
The game has always been a celebration of the franchise for the fans. And this is our way of taking a final bow and saying one big thank you to all Assassin's Creed Mirage fans.
And I do think it's fascinating because AC Mirage was... I think they're going to do a little gameplay demonstration now. But AC Mirage was really interesting because it really was built from the ground up to be a bit of a love letter to fans. And it was built to be reminiscent of games from like 10, 15 years before. So I remember when it came out, there were reviews that said it feels outdated. I'm like, yeah, dumbass. That's exactly what they were trying to do. Like, yes. Thank you, Captain Obvious. Doesn't mean that you have to like it. Doesn't mean it's good. But that was literally what they were trying to do. They were trying to build something that would make people think back to old school Assassin's Creed games. And I think in that pursuit, it worked. I think it did work. People ask me, is it worth playing? Is it worth trying? And honestly, I think it's pretty good. Is it like a masterpiece? No, I don't think so. But as far as like a modern version and formatted game that plays and feels like old school Assassin's Creed, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Again, not perfect, but there's a huge difference between like masterpiece and pretty good. There's a big gap between pretty good and don't bother with it. You know, I feel like nowadays people are like, so if it's not a masterpiece, I'm not going to bother trying it. I'm like, you're going to miss out on a lot of very fun games or games that you'll enjoy if you are holding things to puritanical tests like that. In this case, I think it has a lot of fun aspects to it and it's a good time. As for this DLC, so you of course noticed that they had the vice president of culture involved there. And I should have this pulled up. Hold on. And of course, they're doing a massive group of, or a big investment on all of this. But basically, the Saudi Arabian government and their investment fund has decided to invest in Ubisoft for the sake of this DLC and provide it for free. So we've been talking about how on earth are they giving away this DLC for free? How are they doing that? Well, this is how. So you can see PC Gamer wrote an article on this. Ubisoft's Saudi-funded Assassin's Creed DLC provokes staff unrest. They've had staff threaten to quit, threaten to go on strike and all sorts of stuff because Ubisoft took the Saudi money for it. But the publisher insists partnering with the controversial regime is A-OK. Quote, talking with partners who do not share our democratic values does not mean abandoning them. The free DLC takes players to a historical part of Saudi Arabia. So as you can see in a surprise announcement last month, Ubisoft revealed that 2023's Assassin's Creed Mirage would be receiving a hefty free DLC, a new map and quest for a 2-year-old game, and no charge. Such largesse, I'm not sure, is only possible thanks to the involvement of the Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund, or PIF. You might have noticed this in the news recently because they also recently made a big move where they put a metric, hold on, what's the term? Butt ton of money into EA. So they're the same guys that did that. Yeah, shit ton is also that also would be a fair term. They made many game investments as part of their mission to detoxify the image of the brutal petrol state. And this is really what they're trying to do. Okay, so this is way bigger than a gaming YouTube channel, but basically the Saudis have, to put it very simply, an image problem. They want to become a like tourism capital. They want to also have a hand in global culture. They want their economy to not just be built around oil, because no doubt, like as currently like energy crises like stack up across the planet, nuclear energy is going to become much more common. Electrical vehicle adoption is becoming more common, though not ubiquitous. It's becoming more common. So they want to get out ahead of the oil, money making venture slowing down, which it probably will do over the course of the next century. And they want to diversify their holdings. So they're trying to get involved in culture and media. And that sounds great, but it's also tricky because they are not exactly a freedom-loving regime, to put it mildly. So they're throwing lots of money at a bunch of different projects, whether it's EA, whether it's inviting comedians to perform, or golf competitions to come. Like, they're throwing money at all sorts of stuff and trying to reinvent their public image. And I honestly don't know if it's working. I have no idea what the broader public thinks of Saudi Arabia beyond just that they have a lot of money. But this is one of their goals, is to basically fund this, and then it will serve as sort of guerrilla marketing for the country's history, for the history of the region. And it's just one of the many things that they're trying to do across the planet to try and lighten up their image. And again, I legitimately have no idea if it's going to work or not. I'm sure they're tracking it and seeing what public sentiment is like. I just genuinely have no idea if it's going to work. Like I said, I find the historical region historically fascinating. I think there's, it's kind of the cradle of civilization through that area, the Fertile Crescent, everything. But like that's a separate question to whether or not I'm okay with the human rights abuses. That's a different animal entirely. I can find an area of the world interesting while having plenty of problems with the current occupants. I don't care if they wrecked a dude named Jamal Free is free. Oh, you mean for the DLC being free? Like, it's free, so why not play it? Okay. But they apparently are adding a good amount of stuff to the DLC. Like they said, there's all sorts of new gameplay systems, parkour systems that they're bringing to the table. Offering it for free is pretty bold and interesting. It allows people to just give it a shot and try it. And I think the tricky thing with people that want to, like, let's say, boycott anything they've touched is that it will blow your mind how much stuff the Saudis have money in that you engage with on a regular basis. Like, they own a little bit of pretty much everything. Like, everything. It's kind of insane. I wonder if I can pull up a list of everything they've owned. Like, if you are going to stand on principle and not buy anything that they're involved in, props. But like, you're never using Uber again. Lucid Motors. You're never anything Blackstone. Like, there's a lot of stuff you're never going to touch again. Probably most things in your life. Like, it's a little insane how much money they've put everywhere. So it's a much bigger issue than something that's just like, oh, well, don't buy it. It's like, okay, well, if you're gonna do that, then you gotta, like, well, not buy it, play it because it's free. But it's like, you gotta be consistent if that's actually why you're not gonna touch it. And if you're gonna boycott everything that they're associated with, pretty soon your life is going to probably turn into you living as a hermit in the middle of nowhere, because that's just how globalized economies work. So it's a much bigger issue than some dude on YouTube could break down. It's sort of a matter for individual reflection. But I'm just here to to tell you. I just casually glance at chat and I see Sneaky Pickle. They don't own me. I am touching myself. Okay. Golly. What's wrong with the Saudis? I don't want to get into details here because it's quite depressing and also perhaps not my place to break down, but I encourage you to look up search terms such as Saudi Arabia journalist assassination. You could look up Saudi Arabia human rights abuses, things like that, and you will find many things that will make you go, oh, ah. So I encourage you to look it up. All you can do is be informed. I'm not going to be one of these guys that's like, you played the free DLC, therefore you're a bad person. Because I also don't think that's my place. All we can really do is encourage people to look it up, think about it, reflect on it honestly, and go from there. I think it's different playing a free DLC versus giving them money, but it's also one of those things where it's like, if you're going to choose to boycott anything they're associated with, you legitimately will probably not engage with many things in modern life because they've invested into an ungodly number of things. So I encourage you to look it up, investigate it. But yeah, Saudi bad is common knowledge. People might be trolling a little bit, like, so what did they do? They're bad. They might be trolling. So, but also legitimately, if you don't know, it's okay. You don't know until you know. I encourage you to just look it up and get informed and see what you think of it. You know, yeah, the women wrestlers. Yeah, they had a WWE event, I think. There, hold on. They had a WWE event there, but because they have all of these like modesty laws, all of the women had to compete in like jumpsuits and stuff and like t-shirts because they couldn't show skin. So they all looked kind of like Power Rangers and stuff when they're normally like walking around in like stilettos and very exposed clothing. But when they competed in Saudi Arabia, you know, they're all covered head to toe. So people have joked that like the new EA stuff, it's going to be like very, very, very different. But anyway. And then right now, I think there's a whole thing with Saudi Arabia and like, there's a comedy show or something they're putting up. Yeah. The Riyadh Comedy Festival, September 26th through October 9th. So a bunch of comedians from all around the world are going and performing there. And you can see why a comedy festival in Saudi Arabia is causing so much controversy. Because Saudi Arabia is paying for all of these comedians to go and perform there, and they're paying them just ungodly amounts of money to do it, apparently. And so a lot of the comedians are going and performing there for the fat paycheck, but lots of other people are like pissed off because they're like, so like you call out, like you'll ramble and rage against like the current administration in the US or something, but then you'll go and perform in Saudi Arabia and everything's cool because like the money's good. Like it's a little hypocritical. If you're just somebody who's like, I just take the money wherever it is. Okay, I guess I can't really argue with that. You know, at least you're being real. I'm frustrated by like the hypocrisy of like, yeah, this is bad and evil. Wait, how much are they paying? Okay. If you're just going to tell me, hey, I just like the money, I'm just going to go for the money. Okay, I respect it at least. You know, you're being real. But don't like lecture me about virtue and then like literally go 180 on it the moment the paycheck is good, you know? Tim Dillon has a funny joke that got him kicked off of it. Okay, that's funny. That's a little funny. If he got kicked off because of a joke. That's funny. Yeah, that's at least now I want to know the joke, but I'm scared to look it up. From EA Sports is in the game. Oh wait, it scrolled. From EA Sports, it's in the game to EA Sports. It's in the game store. Oh, I thought it was going to be different. If people actually cared about any of this, they'd boycott Japan for past crimes, China for undemocratic rule, USA for culture issues, Saudi Arabia about its scandals, etc. Like, come on, people. I think the difference is that, like, the current estimate is that they have, like, well over 500,000 actual slaves in Saudi Arabia today. They, like, actively execute dissidents and regime opponents today. Like, it's currently a problem. It's not like, you know, I'm not going to buy a Volkswagen because 100 years ago, well, 80 years ago, they got up to some trouble. Like, it's not quite the same, you know. It's different because it's happening today. It's a thing today, you know. Anyway, so all of this to say, I think the DLC looks interesting. I think it's important to understand the other stuff that's happening in the background as well. And all I ask is that people think about it, reflect on it, and make up your own mind and decisions. I'm not gonna, like, you know, call you names if you think about it and you just decide it's a free DLC for a video game. I'm not gonna stress too much about it. I'm not gonna, like, call you an evil whatever. I just ask that you think about it, reflect on it. You know, it's not my place to, as a gaming YouTuber, to lecture you and tell you what you should and shouldn't do. If you take moral or ethical advice from a YouTuber, you're dumber than a dummy. You know, like, yeah, don't make moral decisions based on what a gaming YouTuber tells you. But all I ask is that you think about it, reflect on it. You know? Let's see. New Crimson Desert gameplay. I do have it pulled up. Yeah, we will look at it. Yeah, I do plan on revisiting Star Citizen. I do plan on doing that. Yes. I don't know what there will be to talk about after Citizen Con, but we will, I'm sure, have something to talk about. Something, but we'll see. Yeah. Your video on Starfield made me play Starfield. I'm sorry, Keenan. I tried my best, but sorry. Okay, let's see. Let's do, should we look at that? Should we look at that? Here. New mini segment. When is CitizenCon? I think it's the 12th, I want to say. I could be wrong. Is it this weekend? Okay, it might be earlier than that. Well, I guess, no, that would time out about right. Yeah. Okay, let's do this. New sort of segment. We just got 11 minutes of brand new gameplay of Crimson Desert that they have revealed to IGN and let IGN render. Unfortunately, looks like they did a better job with this one already. So maybe my complaining worked. But it does look better than previous footage.
Featuring a full quest as our hero Cliff is tasked with infiltrating a castle and taking down the burly boss at the center of it. So, without further ado, let's get right into it.
Okay.
Stand back.
I'm here to see Duke Wales.
His Grace is busy.
Ah, Greymane. Countess Azarian said you'd be coming.
Your Grace.
Give us a moment. Seeing you turn up here has given me a glimmer of hope. Strong words. What's made things so hopeless? I was away at General Bastier's request on a training exercise. And in that time, my fortress was overrun by rebels and taken. Quite the clever lot, too.
Oh.
They must have counted on me not being able to refuse the Grand General.
Your Grace.
It does look way sharper than it did last time.
We'll start by retaking the fortress.
Like last time, I feel like if we were looking at the leaves up in the top, they'd be like upscale artifacted to hell and back, but it looks way sharper than the last time we looked at it.
Ha! You're sorry excuse for a fighter.
Straight into it. Just chuck him. So I will say, last time we talked about this, because I've played Crimson Desert, I played it at Summer Games Fest, and a lot of other people did as well. But we played a later game section that was, I forget exactly how far into the game it was, but it was far enough into the game that you would normally have a really strong grasp of the controls. And I really think it's unfair for people to say, like, it was hard to control when you're jumping into it halfway through. Like, if you jump into Ghost of Tsushima with the weapon swapping and stuff halfway through the game, it's gonna be hard to control. You're gonna look like an idiot when you first play the game, like, because so much of it is muscle memory, you know? And so I'm not judging the game on the control scheme based on, a short impression that's pretty late in the game after you've built up that muscle memory. I will say it is not a simplistic control scheme, though. It's like even just that. So what he just did, this is like a jump, and then you do like R2, if I recall correctly. I think it's R2, L2 to bounce again, and then R2 again to jump up again. Like it takes a lot of practice, but I'm sure the muscle memory clicks and you'll figure it out. But look at this, immediately transition into that. Oh, baby. Load it up. Keep going. Like, look at that. Like, that's some crazy little traversal. I mean, that's ridiculous. Bear in mind, this is also a game where they can have like hundreds of enemies on screen at a time. It's like actually kind of insane. And it's interesting because when we first saw Crimson Desert, we thought, there's no way this is real. This is too good to be true. And then we played it and we're like, okay, so this is real. That's insane. Can't believe that. I just hope it runs well. And then this footage, it actually looks to be running significantly better than the last time we saw it, which was only like a month or two ago. It's pretty insane. Like, look at the draw distance, dude. Like, it's kind of compressed from the video, but you can see all the way into the city and the distance. Like, it's a little insane. It's a little insane. Is this running console PC? Well, let me see what he said at the top. That was 351. He might have said at the top and I just had it muted.
IGN first for October is Pearl Abyss's Crimson Desert, the open world action adventure set in the fantasy continent of Pywell. First up for you, we've got 11 minutes of brand new gameplay to show, featuring a full quest as our hero Cliff is tasked with infiltrating a castle and taking down the burly boss at the center of it.
No, so they don't say. 351 is where we left off. Let me look up the article on their website. Maybe they say on the website. Oh, baby. Okay, this is what the article says, okay? The article itself says, this 11-minute long video showcases a number of Crimson Desert's key features. First and foremost, of course, is combat. Ever since we first played the Crimson Desert game at Gamescom 2024, we've known that developer Pearl Abyss has been assembling something special when it comes to battle. And here you can see that protagonist Cliff making use of a wide range of abilities. They describe demonstration of the big mission using a Spider-Man-like swing. Of course, Crimson Desert Showcase wouldn't be complete without a boss battle, so this video concludes the full comprehensive one. And remember, this video is just the first drop. Throughout the month of October, IGN First will take you on a journey into the world of Crimson Desert. You'll get to see many more bosses, regions, combat abilities, 2 or 3 more exciting new things you never guessed would be part of a medieval fantasy game. For all that, stay tuned to IGN over the coming weeks. They do not say what it's running on. They do not say. So I don't know. I could send somebody a DM real quick. They might know. But I'll keep playing and I'll DM him and see if I can find out. Having played the game, I will say whoever is playing this has many, many hours in the game. They really know what they're doing.
I think you may be outnumbered.
Okay. I will let you know if he gets back to me. This looks good though, man. Oh, baby. Thank you, Boone. 18 months, year and a half, baby. That gets 3 booms. Boom, boom, boom. Just wait till you see what happens at 2 years. It'll blow your mind. It'll blow your mind. Dude, this is low-key insane though, because like this is later in the game. And like you can see all of the stats, so stamina, spirit, attack, defense, accuracy, attack speed, movement speed, critical hit success, the skill that's currently assigned. And then there are also all of these wheels, okay, in the game. When I played, and I don't know again how many tens of hours we were into the game, but the demo that I played was fairly deep into the game, and it like we had 1 or 2 of these things available to us, so there's like a long tail on this thing. I think like it's kind of crazy. R1 L1 buttons, so it's PS5, well, a PS5 controller, but you can use a PlayStation controller on PC. Like this is not a game I think most people will play on mouse and keyboard. It seems to be kind of built out for controller. Take the corn. They do love their particle effects, because like even when he's running up these wooden stairs, there's still chunks of dirt flying off the ground.
Thought I heard a rat scurrying about. So you've come here to meet your end? I'll be happy to oblige.
That's a smooth transition. Bro. So that's like a little status effect that you can apply to your weapon that he just swapped to. Dude, he gets a summon. Doesn't he know summons are for scrubs? Jesus, dude. He's evolved. There's two of them. Golly. Dude, he's got that dead eye. He's entered his final form. Dude, they're combining all three types of attacks with the summons. Jesus, dude. That's ridiculous. There it is. Bro. So he just took the shield and then gains that ability that the boss had. He can summon the same thing. I think this is new, the Raising Banners tutorial pop-up. I'm guessing that's popping up because that was a common point of like confusion with the like build we played during Summer Games Fest. That's a good addition. I'm glad they added it. Just so nobody can say they were confused.
We'll have plenty more Crimson Desert to show you this month ahead of its March 19th, 2026 release, including plenty more gameplay and insights from the development team. For more Crimson Desert, stay tuned to IGN.
That's absolutely ridiculous. That is crazy, dude. That's outrageous. again, it just keeps looking better and better. And if I had not played it myself, I would think that it's too good to be true. And I'd be like, I don't know, it's probably fake gameplay. But dude, that is the game. It literally is like that. That's what it is. It is crazy. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. It's ridiculous. The only there's only two potential concerns I think people could levy against it or bring up. And that is, for one, concerns maybe over the control scheme, because it is complex and can be very overwhelming when you first start. But I'm guessing the game starts out simple and then builds up from there. And then beyond that, like, maybe you could say that there's a concern over like the fidelity or performance and stuff. This version looks significantly better than what we've seen elsewhere. Like I'm not seeing anywhere near as many like upscaling artifacts. It seems to run super steady and stable, no real pop in or anything. This is looking really good. I'm guessing it's running on PC with the PlayStation controller, but I mean, if this is a console port, this is crazy impressive. But it's just looking better and better, dude. Like, what on earth? It's absolutely wild. It's just, yeah, there's just so much. You literally, like, every time they show something, you're just like, what? Most games, that would be like the climactic thing. That would be like the final thing in the game. That's how you leave it. Like, this boss fight seems cooler and better than a lot of games' final boss fight, like the final encounter, and they just casually are dropping it as part of like a raid in the middle of the game. It's just ridiculous. And just so much is going on. It's just wild. Then the seamless transitions between gameplay and cutscene and then back to gameplay. I did not expect to be able to pick up the shield and then use the shield myself. That's crazy cool. And then also, like, you get the summon from the shield. That's ridiculous. I mean, and so I'm guessing they're communicating that that's going to happen with other bosses, where bosses may have unique abilities that then you get access to by picking up their weapons. That's crazy. So I don't, man. I'm here for it, though. I'm here for it. I can't wait. March is going to be fun. March is stacked. March is really stacked right now. But everybody's got to get out before GTA. That's why. I did send a DM to one of the guys over at Pearl Abyss, I know. And so I've not heard back from him yet as to whether that is PC or PS5 footage. If I find out before the stream live or stream clip goes up, I will let you guys know. Because if it's PC, I'd be like, can I get stats on what the PC was that you're running that on? But I'll let you know if I find out. If he knows. Maybe he doesn't know either, but I'll let you know. Okay, but yeah, that looks fire. That looks fire. Okay. Got through that. Okay. I wanted to show you guys this too. Is this worth... This is funny. Okay, I'll show you this. This is just kind of funny. New mini segment kind of thing. This isn't really breaking news or anything, but it's a story I saw pop up and I thought it was really funny, especially some of the little details tucked in here, which are so ridiculous that you just know it's true. So there's a very successful franchise that has done gangbuster numbers for PlayStation for a long time and helped move a lot of consoles during the like PS4 or PS3, PS4 era. And that is, of course, Uncharted. Dearly beloved franchise, right? Well, Microsoft thought there was an opportunity back in the day for them to potentially capitalize on a similar concept, to basically make their own Uncharted. And this is outlined in an article from Insider Gaming from Michael Murphy. Yesterday he posted this, and he basically describes Microsoft tried to make Uncharted for Xbox, this report claims. And again, some of the details in this are so freaking hilarious. It's crazy. Okay, so basically, as you can see, at one point they tried to make their own Uncharted for Xbox. While Microsoft has many iconic franchises like Halo and Gears of War, the 2000s were dominated by Naughty Dog's Uncharted. The action-adventure titles were massive hits, with fans and critics making it one of Sony's biggest IPs, and surprisingly, it seemed like Xbox stuck to its guns literally with Halo and Gears in the 2010s. However, a new report from a reliable YouTuber and researcher shows that the company had indeed tried to make Uncharted for Xbox. Even more so, it was rather far along with an impressive team behind it prior to its cancellation. This is the video that's being referenced, and as you can see, it's a big beefy video. Maybe we can look at the entire video from Did You Know Gaming that was posted a couple days ago. I'd be down for that. But to just give you the spark notes that they highlight in the article, the video comes from Liam Robertson from Did You Know Gaming. In the video seen above, he talked to former members of Microsoft. And they stated that during Xbox One's development, the company wanted its own Uncharted. Furthermore, the game, codenamed Project Ranger, was being developed by Black Tusk, which is now known as the Coalition. The Coalition. Which, of course, are the guys now working on, like, Gears. That's their big thing. Unreal Engine extraordinaires. The studio was originally making a Halo game for the Kinect, because of course they were, before being approached to make an Uncharted-inspired game. Project Ranger was set to be a mix of Naughty Dog's iconic action gameplay with the espionage elements of Mission Impossible. During development, unpaid students from Savannah College of Art and Design created concepts for the title. Because why pay them? Including Kinect utilization, because of course there was Kinect utilization in this age, and unique gadgets. Like, again, it's so amazing to me that it's like, okay, we need to make something to compete with Uncharted. And Don Matrix like, okay. What if we made it just worse? Like, that's the concept. The Team Hope, the new IP, would be the next big series for Xbox. Can you imagine? Kinect, reload. Kinect, reload gun. Kinect, reload weapon. Kinect. It would be so toxic. You're just yelling at it, trying to do anything, because they're like, no, it's for immersive gameplay. It's the next era. Furthermore, footage was shown at an Xbox E3 showcase in 2013, but it wasn't confirmed as a game yet. This is the link they shared. It's muted. Look who it is.
World-class teams are the foundation of Microsoft Studios. Teams focused on creating great first-party content. Let's take a look at another Xbox One exclusive from one of those studios now.
I wonder what game this is. This isn't the same thing. I just am wondering what this game was. What is this? Oh, wait, no, you're right. You see the glove? I forgot about that, dude. I forgot about that trailer. I just saw a guy walking in a desert with a poncho. I was like, did they have a Dune game back then? I totally forgot about that. E3 2013. There you go. So that's when they revealed it. They did show it back then, that like weird Mission Impossible looking thing. But funnily enough, the game's protagonist, Cole, was played by Liam McIntyre, who now voices Wolverine in Insomniac's new Wolverine game. Unfortunately, creative differences between higher-ups and the team occurred and the project stalled. Later, Black Tusk Studios was asked to do the next Gears of War with Rod Ferguson and agreed. This led to Project Ranger being abandoned and later canceled. The video showcases numerous concept art for the pieces shown and footage of the title. So we have an idea of what it would have looked like. It's just so funny to me and interesting that they were doing all sorts of stuff. The writing team was writing and shooting actual cinematics for the vertical slice, which is wild given how expensive that is, literally throwing away work because, again, the constant changes. It's just when there's no clear vision, it just goes by the wayside. And you can tell, like, the only vision they had was imitate Uncharted and also make it utilize exclusive features for the Xbox One so that people feel they need to buy an Xbox One to play this. So use Kinect, basically, is the translation of that. And then it doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't go anywhere, and it just ends up being a waste of time. But that's mismanagement. I mean, that's really the tale of Xbox over the last 15 years, is just amazing IP, very talented devs, but they just don't know how to make video games consistently. Like, occasionally they'll get lucky and have one pop off or do really well, but there's something about how they manage these projects where they just are not consistently good at it. And it's really bizarre. It's honestly quite impressive too. But that's how it is with them. That's how it is. So anyway, interesting little tidbit. If you guys are interested in doing a full look at the full documentary that these guys put together on this game, I'd be down to check it out. It's a full 48 minutes, so it's probably going to take me 2 hours of rambling to get through. But I'd be very interested in checking out because that is very interesting. It's very, very interesting. But anyway, interesting little tidbit. We could have gotten Uncharted on Xbox with Kinect integration, because I know that sounds so amazing to you. But there you go. Let's see. Well, they're good at everything except that. Again, it's a fun idea. But wait, what is happening? Somebody clipped this. What does this even mean? Insider Gaming, Xbox's dedicated handheld was canceled because AMD required 10 million units, it's claimed. And Jess says this isn't even slightly true, by the way. Okay. I don't understand. So they're claiming... Who claimed it, though? According to Windows Central's Jez Corden, the claim isn't even slightly true. It comes from a reputable AMD and hardware leaker, Kepler L2, who has reported on many AMD-related leaks in the past. According to Kepler, Xbox's dedicated handheld was canceled because AMD wanted a massive 10 million unit commitment for a dedicated SoC. It was said that with Steam Deck only selling 5 million units and Asus, ROG, Lenovo, Legion only selling 1 to 2 million, and Microsoft didn't want to take that risk. Yeah, that makes sense. I can understand why they wouldn't want to make a 10 million chip commitment on that. Okay, that checks out. I don't know if that's... It doesn't sound insane to me if AMD is like, yeah, we don't want to make a dedicated chip and SoC if it's only going to sell 1 million units or something. So let's not do that. And if AMD can't do it, there's no one else really to do it. So then they partner with ROG and that's the thing. But I don't know. Conflicting reports. I don't know what the truth is. It's not insane to me if they actually did have a minimum order quantity and Xbox didn't feel like they could hit that, and so they decided not to bother it, but I don't know. Okay. Oh, this is interesting. Zephyrus posted this. Assassin's Creed Mirage Valley of Memory DLC teaser trailer received more views than AC Shadows Claws of Awaji trailer in just 19 hours. Wow. Okay, who knew? There's apparently more interest in the AC Mirage DLC after 2 years than in AC Shadows DLC. At least in the trailer. I mean, there's more engagement there. That's interesting. That's very interesting. What does that tell you? I don't know. Maybe it's just that people really liked Mirage and people were more on Shadows, or maybe it's that it's a novel reveal to be like, yeah, Mirage is getting a DLC after 2 years. It's like, what? So people are just curious and checking it out there. I don't know. Likes and engagement is also way higher. 3 times the likes on the AC Mirage DLC versus the Shadows DLC trailer. Interesting. It's because it's free. The AC Shadows DLC was free for anybody who pre-ordered it or bought it at launch. So it was also free for a lot of people. But yeah, it could just be that it's free. That's true. You never know. You never know. AC Mirage needs a graphics improvement. No, because it's a 2-year-old game. So no. It's fine. Like, could it look better? I guess, but yeah, people are fed up with the Japanese. So I do think that the Japanese setting got a lot of overexposure very, very quickly. Everybody was kind of putting out games with similar art styles and similar framing, you know. So that could be it. In the same way, we got a bunch of those like Nordic games shortly after, you know, the like Thor and everything blew up, and so who knows what the next meta is going to be. I hope it's pirates. I want pirates to get overused because right now they're underused. So that's what I need. Not going to touch AC until at least Hexe. Really, Hannah? What about the Black Flag remake? Huh? What about that? What about that? What are you going to do? Oh, I got confirmation, Jacob. You can splice this in. You can splice this in. Official confirmation on the Crimson Desert gameplay. Official confirmation on what it is. It was running on PC. That is not console gameplay. Official confirmation. There you go. Makes sense. It looks really good, but official confirmation. Okay. End of clip for Jacob. Okay. They should have just said that in the IGN article. I guess it was just an oversight, but it looks good. It looks very good. And it gets me excited because I'm like, okay, so it scales well. If you have high-end hardware, it scales really well. Okay. Ryan says, if I were Microsoft, I'd lean really hard into the 360's 20th anniversary. Come up with that's coming up in just under 7 weeks. Let nostalgia take over the messaging for a while. I don't think Microsoft cares about the messaging, which is part of the problem. Like, pretty clearly, they don't care what people think. They're just going to do whatever they want to do. That's part of the problem, is that like they do all this stupid stuff and then like everyone hates us. That's weird. Anyway, raising prices more. Like, and then like they act as surprised when they can't get a lot of good press, and it's like, yeah, because like you're not even trying anymore. It's just ridiculous. Because again, on the enterprise side, if Microsoft has like, if they've done a lot of layoffs and morale is low, who cares, as long as like Microsoft whatever server software is working. Like the enterprise guys don't care as long as the product works. With games, and when you're like on a more customer facing level, directly with customers, it just doesn't work that way. You can't treat it the same way. But they run it the same way both times, you know? We hear you. We're gonna do another price hike as an apology. Yeah. Was it, hold on, I think somebody did. Oh crap, was it Nick Tech maybe? However, Gamer reacted after Xbox raised Xbox Game Pass pricing.
How's the pie?
So good.
Hey everyone, Xbox Game Pass is getting an upgrade.
We've listened to your feedback, and now you have even more freedom to choose how you play the games you want. All 3 plans are designed to give you more value, more rewards, and more ways to play than ever before.
It was perfect, but no, you just had to blow it up. You and your pride and your ego. You just had to be the man. If you'd done your job, known your place, we'd all be fine right now.
Oh, please show it. Oh, no, they cut it. Right after that, he goes and grabs a gun. Except in this case, I guess it would be grabbing another price increase. Oh, it's so good. Mike is great, yeah. Oh, that was funny. Let's see. Let me catch up on these real quick. Let's see. On says, can't wait to play this game at 700p. Hopefully the upscaling will be as good as Ghost of Yote. I'm guessing you meant Crimson Desert, I'm guessing. We'll see. I hope that they continue to optimize it. I think that that's definitely their focus for the next, whatever, 5 months. Yeah, about 5 months. So I'm sure they're working on it. Logan, thank you again for the 2. It says message retracted, but thank you for the 2. Mega Doodoo, DD Mega Doodoo. Hold on, I have to pull that up. DD Mega, here it is. Every time I see your name, I think of this.
To say their final goodbyes to this fallen Louisville police officer, DD Mega Doodoo. I'm sorry.
It's in a very serious moment. Deirdre Mengado, I think is what it's supposed to be, but instead it was DD Mega Doodoo.
To say their final goodbyes to this fallen Louisville police officer, DD Mega Doodoo.
I'm so sorry. It's just so funny to me. Rest in peace, Deirdre Mengado. But at least, you know, there was this moment to offer a little bit of levity. So anyway, every time I see your name, Mega Doodoo, that's what I think of. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry if that isn't what you intended, but that's what I think of every time I read your name. Thank you for the 5. Do you think Xbox may be on their last legs given the recent price hikes? And if this next gen doesn't work out, actually becoming successful? It depends what you mean by last legs. Like, do I think that they're still going to be pushing $800 consoles in 10 years? Personally, my suspicion is that it's just going to turn into the Surface lineup. I think they will have very expensive hardware that you buy to be part of like that particular hardware niche, but it's very, very few and far between. It'll be very rare to see an Xbox, like official Microsoft Xbox. I think instead, their whole thing is to move into distribution. As I've been saying for years, is their goal. Their goal is to run Xbox the same way they run Windows. It is a platform. It is not a hardware ecosystem. It's a software ecosystem, which for them works much better because software ecosystems travel from device to device and is also digital, so margins are higher. They're both just much happier with that. So I think that that's where it's going to go. I think they probably still will make physical hardware. I just think it'll be like Surface laptops. Microsoft is happy whether you're buying a Windows PC from Lenovo. If you buy a Surface, I'm sure they're even happier there because they got hardware sales. But ultimately, if you're buying on their platform, they're still happy. If you buy an Xbox game on PlayStation, they're still happy about that because they still got a sale, you know? So I think that that's where it's going to go. I don't think Xbox is going to like shut down and Satya is going to be like, no more Xbox, fire everybody. No, I don't think that's happening. But I also think that Phil Spencer is probably going to retire at the end of this generation, and I think Sarah Bond is going to take over, and then it will be Satya's wishes through and through. Sarah Bond, I think, my interpretation of her, I've never spoken to her, I've seen her at events and stuff, but My impression of her is that she is a corporate shark from head to toe, and she is very, very good at playing the corporate game and climbing that ladder. And part of the reason is because she, I think, understands when she's put in a role, how to do that role. And I think the role that Satya wants the CEO of Xbox to play is the one that does exactly what he says when he says increase utilization and engagement on our server infrastructure with cloud gaming. And that will be the whole thing, even at the detriment of everything else. Everything will be about pushing xCloud. So that's my impression. So yeah. That's what I think. Mega Doodoo, sorry, DD Mega Doodoo. We did respond to your super chat, and then I pulled up an obscure clip about it. So we did look at it. Apologies, it took us a little while to get to it. It took us roughly 4 minutes. Roughly, but we did react to it. Yes. Let's see. But yeah, all of this to say, I don't think that it's going to like die. I think it's just going to look very, very different. Music. Yes. I'm so sorry. Thank you for the
Keegan
6.
Habeck donated $9.99
Wait, just a second.
through Super Chat. Why does Todd H keep directing BGS games? Wouldn't Elder Scrolls and Fallout benefit from a fresh vision?
That's a big question. I'll get to it in just a second. That's a big question. I'm going to ramble about that in just a moment. That's a big question, but a good question. I'll get there. Stop making sense. Exactly. Let's see. You said music's. Hey Luke, just tuned in. Did you talk about Digimon Time Stranger at all? Awesome game that's doing really well at the moment. I've heard multiple people mention it. I've not tried it or played it or checked it out. But I've heard multiple people saying that they're checking it out. So yeah, I will have to Google it. I'll actually open it. I'll open it in another tab, and I will look at it when we wrap up stream. Thank you. Appreciate you. Luke MF Smith, thank you for the 5. Name 5 characters from AC Shadows other than Nawe and Yasuke. No cheating, go. There is Chichue. I don't remember his first name. Her dad, basically, that she screams about when, no spoilers, poke, when that happens. There's her mom, but she's referenced and then shows up at a later point. There's the little fat kid. Sorry, is fat? Are you not allowed to say fat? There's the calorically challenged kid. There's Nobunaga. There's the one guy I got killed very, very early on. Long hair guy. He was in there too. These are weird names, says Charlie. I don't remember these names. Yeah, well, it's why, like, I think a lot of games, you can tell how impactful the writing was. For one, if you can remember the first names of the characters. And two, if they have a very unique silhouette. It's one of the strengths of like old school Pixar movies is that you can see a silhouette of basically any character and know exactly who they are. They're so unique, both in their shape and presentation, how they walk, how they move. And also, you know their names. You know, with AC Shadows, I think because there's so many characters and they all show up for little slivers, it's just like overwhelming, and your brain takes it in and gets it out the other side, doesn't really hold on to it, which is too bad because like it's no way to have an impactful story. You know, when you're just pumping through characters because there's 1,000 of them, you shouldn't be surprised when people can't really remember anybody because like, oh yeah, like 40 hours ago I did a side quest with that guy. I have no idea what his name was. Like if I saw him, I'd recognize him, but you know, that's just the difference. Let's see. Hannah, thank you for that. 3 a.m. AEST. Let's go. Hell yeah. What time does that translate to? Oh, jeez, dude. Yeah, so 11 a.m. my time is 3 a.m. Australian Eastern time. Golly. Golly. That's what happens when you're on the other side of the planet. Tell you what. Keaton, thank you for the 10 again. Going back to that, great question. Keaton asks, why does Todd keep directing BGS games?
Wouldn't Elder Scrolls and Fallout benefit from a fresh vision?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I think so. Frankly, I think but this is the key. This is the key. Okay. Todd's games are not commonly in the modern era referred to as masterpieces. Okay. I think that that's demonstrable. Fallout 4, I've never heard anybody call it a masterpiece. Starfield, I've never heard anybody. Fallout 76, never heard anybody call a masterpiece. They're not called masterpieces, but they are commercially very successful. And ideally, they'd be directly correlated. You know, the better your game is critically in terms of audience reception, the better it performs financially. And sometimes they are directly correlated, the quality to the financial performance, like Baldur's Gate. Phenomenal game, performed very well. But it's not always correlated. There are plenty of examples of games that I would consider to be toxic or bad or stupid that make stupid amounts of money. Roblox as a game, that company that makes it, all they do is Roblox, and they are worth $80 billion. They are valued at more than Activision Blizzard King, the company that ran all of Candy Crush, all of Call of Duty, all of Blizzard stuff, all of it. Roblox is considered more valuable financially. Is Roblox a better game? I don't think so. But it's more financially valuable. So for Todd, his stuff has not been better than the stuff he made, in my opinion, back in 2011. But it's financially much more performant. It makes a lot more money nowadays, despite not being as good. And I think that's because he has made sacrifices at the altar of microtransactions, at the altar of monetization, at the altar of paid mods. And I don't think it's a coincidence that literally right when Bethesda started pushing for paid mod integration and the Creation Club, as they initially called it, you started to see the quality of their projects plummet pretty significantly. And I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that's pretty much direct causation. But I think Todd and the company is much more satisfied with a 7 out of 10, a controversial 7 out of 10, that makes 200 million than a 9 out of 10 that makes 100 million. And I think now they're in so deep that there's not a lot of changing it. And secondly, I think it's a lot easier to do what they're doing now and put out fine games that make a ton of money through like recurrent revenue, compared to hiring the world's best talent and working like mad to make a masterpiece that then does pretty well, but then goes dormant for 10 years. So long answer short, why does he keep directing them? Because the games he directs make a lot of money. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it, because ultimately that's the goal. It's not necessarily to make the best game possible. It's to make a good product. And that's what they have continued to do, even if we make fun of them for it. Would Elder Scrolls and Fallout benefit from a fresh vision? Absolutely. I think so. But that assumes that a fresh vision is what the stakeholders or rather shareholders want. In this case, it's mostly Microsoft. And I think Microsoft cares much more about recurrent revenue and engagement than they do about Metacritic scores. So that's my take on it, at least. Thank you. I am a freaka for the sub. Thank you, my friend. And Aldrich, thank you for the community sub you gave out an hour ago. Sorry, I just saw that. Gee whiz, I'm terrible at this. Thank you. Appreciate you. Let's see. I read that one. Mega Doodoo, that's why my name is Mega Doodoo. Really? Okay, I feel less bad now. Because I was like, maybe this is the first time you're seeing this clip and you're going to be like offended that that's what I think of every time I hear it, but
to say their final goodbyes to this fallen Louisville police officer, D.D. Megadoodoo. I'm sorry.
That condolences to the entire Megadoodoo family. You die like a hero, or you live long enough to become a Megadoodoo. She died in the line of duty. In some weird, twisted way, we will always remember Deirdre. It is true. It is true. Imagine fucking dying and being remembered like that on the internet. Hey, the ancient Egyptians believed that so long as someone's name is spoken, they live forever. Right? That's why the most offensive thing you could possibly do is erase somebody's name from their tomb so it could never be spoken again. I don't know if this counts. Personally, I feel like it's a bit of a loophole. Because, like, you know, Deirdre Megadoodoo, like, DD Megadoodoo, I don't know. But genuinely, rest in peace, Deirdre. And at least there was a moment of levity that even now can put a smile on our faces. So there you go. DD Megadoodoo. Anyway, let's see. Hannah, thank you for the 10. Bring the almighty Todd out. Luke, praise Todd. Praise be to Todd indeed. May he watch over us and sprinkle detail upon us always. And give us peace. Amen. Okay. Where are we at in terms of our lineup? Okay. Let's see this. I think we have time for this. Let's do this. Okay. That news lady's getting haunted for sure. Well, dude, I just genuinely feel bad because, like, she wasn't trying to say that, obviously. She was fighting for her life not to say it, but kind of slipped into that. But now, I mean, it's just, you can see why it went viral. I mean, it's pretty hilarious. So let's see. Let's talk about this.
News segment. Wrong one. Oh, God.
News segment. Much better. That was much better. The low voice, that scared me. Okay. So a bunch of you guys submitted another video for me to check out from another channel we've looked at before. It makes really good videos called AVV Gaming. Really great channel. You should absolutely follow and sub. But what made me want to do this was seeing one of the top comments. So I pulled up the video and I was like, oh, I wonder what this is like. AVV Gaming again, subscribe. I'm already subscribed. Recommend you do too. But the comment said before Starfield came out, everyone was hoping to get Skyrim in space, which is true. That was one of the common statements at the time, was that we're going to get Starfield but in space, or Fallout in space. People got really excited by that. And in some ways we got it, but it's a different thing. But the comment goes on. Now my fear is that Elder Scrolls 6 will be Starfield in Tamriel. Which is actually, I think, exactly what it's going to be. It's exactly what I think it's going to be. Because how does Bethesda work? How does Bethesda work? Well, they tend to be very iterative. They take what they did before and then they build on it. And so they have, you know, their game offering is basically like a Lego set. And every time that they put out a new game, they've added 20 pieces to it. And then the next game is that, just kind of rearranged, but put 20 more pieces on top. And so each game is bigger and more expansive and all of that, but they specifically are trying to build on the systems they put in the last one. So Fallout 4, for example, built upon some of the DLC that they put for Skyrim. And so they had this like base building system. It was quite rudimentary, but they built on it in Fallout 76, and they expanded it even more into the camp system. And then when they made Starfield, they expanded that even more into the settlement system, where you could assign people you recruit to work on certain machines and all this, and they expanded it out further. And one of the other things they did with, of course, Starfield was they took the same base building mechanics and built it into a ship customization system. And they also developed a bunch of procedural tech. So what I think Elder Scrolls 6 is basically going to be is it's going to be a game that has a very large map that utilizes procedural generation to achieve like endless dungeons and dungeon crawling and stuff. That's probably going to be super, super repetitive. And then also, I think there's going to be tons of the settlement systems and building stuff that they've done for the last decade or so in the form probably of like a castle builder or castle customization. They'll give you a big plot of land and let you build out a little castle in your own way. And I think it'll be based probably on basic cells clicking together, similar to the ship customization. But I think there'll be something like that. I also think it's not a coincidence that when they showed the trailer for Elder Scrolls 6, they showed the coastline. And that's why I think that they probably will have a like ship that you get access to at some point that you can sail along the coast, and maybe that's tied to the fast travel system, and you can customize the ship. And I'm just saying it would be so freaking hilarious if it was also fast travel reliant, and it was like, yeah, you want to go up to that coastline? Well, hop on your ship at this dock and then you fast travel there. Like, and it's just Starfield all over again. It would be very, very funny. So that's what I think. But this video outlines something we just discussed in response to one of the super chats that came in that I thought was quite interesting, which is what made me think of us looking at this video. Basically, Keaton sent in a super chat saying, why does Todd keep directing BGS games? Wouldn't Elder Scrolls and Fallout benefit from a fresh vision? And my point of view is that I think Todd serves a purpose within the company, and the modern Bethesda games are not necessarily about just getting a really good Metacritic score. It's about creating something with recurrent revenue that's big enough and easy enough to mod for, that you can have basically endless DLC that you don't even have to make yourself. And I think that that's part of the goal. So I think that monetary incentive is why the games are sort of built in this lackluster way, because, and this is the most insane thing before we get into this, paid mods allow you to sell a fix to certain problems, whether it's a lack of content, a lack of new content, offering new weapons, new ship halves and stuff. You basically have a problem, and then the paid mod fixes it, which is why you're willing to spend $1 or $5 to get it. So they've built in a monetary incentive to build in problems that they can sell you the fix for. And so, no surprise, there are problems to be found, like plenty of them. It's why building out, I really think the moment that they started playing around with paid mods is when everything started to really fall apart. But let's see the argument made by AVV Gaming. Again, great YouTuber. You should get over, get subscribed. We looked at one of his videos previously and loved it. So let's see what he has to say here.
Back to the year 2011, if I say the word Bethesda, what comes to your mind? Excitement? Excellence? The greatest RPG developer of all time? The game development studio was well known for creating some of the best open world games of all time. From Morrowind to Oblivion, Skyrim, both Fallout 3 and 4, they were setting the standards for years. But it seems whenever someone leaves the role at Bethesda, it is usually with a fear for the company's future. Former lead developer Julian LeFay often vented frustration at their new direction. Bruce Nesmith has shared his fears about their upcoming projects. Even my interview with Jonah Loeb highlighted how much the studio has changed over the years. Hold
on, I want to see this.
Bruce Nesmith has shared his fears.
After Starfield, Bethesda's next project is The Elder Scrolls 6, which has been announced for a long time, but is a long way from being released. After there was already some discontent among fans at the release of Starfield, Bethesda is fully expecting that fans will grumble about The Elder Scrolls 6 as well. That's not great. According to Bruce Nesmith, lead designer, it is, quote, almost impossible, end quote, to satisfy fans' expectations. He sees Bethesda in a bit of a trap that Valve has. The studio had a good run for 20 years with Elder Scrolls and Fallout, and maintaining that run is not easy. Only a few studios like Rockstar managed to do that, while Valve doesn't even dare to try. Yeah.
Own Knight donated £10 through Super Chat. I had a tinfoil hat thought. Is it conceivable that Microsoft are raising prices to an untenable amount to kill hardware and focus on software while letting others focus on hardware?
I don't think that's a tinfoil hat at all. I think they're raising prices because they're not making money at the lower prices. And so they're not going to discount them or do anything. Because that's the other thing is you got to remember, as with all things, you get better prices when you order in larger volumes. In order to, you would only order large volumes of consoles if you can sell through those large volumes of consoles, which I don't think Microsoft can do. So I think Microsoft is doing very limited runs of Xbox manufacturing, which drives the prices up, paired with tariffs, paired with certain retailers not wanting to sell it unless they get cheaper rates on it, and so therefore bigger discounts. I think that just reinforces this loop of it not being profitable unless the prices have risen significantly. And so that's why they're raising the prices so much, which will inevitably just lead to it being delisted by more outlets and stores. It will eventually probably become an online only item. You have to order it online. And beyond that, I think it is ultimately their goal to just go cloud gaming and let third-party manufacturers do stuff. But I mean, I think that their goal is for that to be the primary focus. Like I said earlier in the stream, I think that they're going to eventually handle it basically just like the Surface lineup of laptops. They will manufacture some of their own hardware, but it's not their focus at all. The focus of Windows is not the Surface laptops. If you buy a Surface, cool, but their goal is to just distribute software. And if you happen to buy a Surface laptop, they're happy. But anyway, yeah, I don't think that's a tinfoil hat at all. Mega Doo-Doo, thank you for the 5. I'm working, so I'm pausing the stream a lot. Just caught up. Thanks for the chat and for all the Mega Doo-Doo jokes. Rip the officer, and thanks for the laugh, Luke. Thank you for being here, my friend. And sorry it took us a minute to get to your super chat. But yeah, thank you for being here. And yes, honestly, rest in peace to the officer. I'm sorry that the clip went so viral and is so ridiculous, but that's just what happens with news bloopers. And then last one before I continue. OG, what game do you think has a better chance of being a 10 out of 10? Elder Scrolls 6 or Mass Effect 4? Probably Elder Scrolls 6, because at this point, I'm honestly not sure if Mass Effect 4 ever gets launched. I think it's if I had to pick one, Elder Scrolls 6, because I honestly at this point am not sure Mass Effect 4 will ever happen. So, yeah.
It's about...
Anyway, continuing.
Their upcoming projects. Even my interview with Jonah Loeb highlighted how much the studio has changed over the years, and not for the better. Well, now we've seen former marketing boss Pete Hines making a few quotes that bring up more concerns than ever. The first article, there's just no question that the company is not the same. In this article, Pete Hines goes on to say, it was Robert Altman's company and we were his employees, no question, but he treated us more like family and we found a culture that really fit us. When it was working, it was magical. We were a small private company. It's way easier to stay out of scrutiny when you're not having to put your earnings reports out for the whole world. There's just no question that the company is not the same. It has been radically changed and altered from the company that we built. It is what it is. Things change, things move on, but at its height, it was a really special thing to be a part of.
Yeah, and Pete Hines is so fascinating. Excuse me. That sneeze snuck up on me. Pete Hines is so fascinating because I think Pete Hines is like kind of one of the unsung heroes of Bethesda Softworks just in general. He's an OG. He's been around forever. You know, he was there back in like the early days of making Oblivion. You can see him in the making of Oblivion documentary. And it's very, very funny because I wonder if I can find a snippet. It's when they were like looking at, is that him? This is him in the striped shirt. Yeah. So that's a very young Pete Hines. Okay. Very young Pete Hines. But he started at Bethesda Game Studios, and then eventually he became like head of marketing for all of Bethesda Softworks, and then he did a lot of work directly with ZeniMax. So like he was a head honcho by the end of his career, and he was the one that would very publicly say, we are not going to give up on games. We're going to see games through. We're going to see them fixed. If they launch with issues, we're going to fix it. Like, I think he deserved a lot of credit for that. And I think it's no coincidence he retired, and literally like a matter of weeks later, they shut down Arcane Austin working on Redfall. Because after Redfall launched with all of its problems, he came out and was like, we're going to work on it until it's the game that we promised and until it's the game that the fans wanted. We're not giving up on it. And then he retires, and a matter of weeks later, they shut down the whole studio, fire everybody, abandon the game, and move on. And I think it's because, like, without him there as the stopgap, the one guy saying, no, we're going to do this and we're going to see it through, I think there was nobody else to stand up and fight for it. And maybe he left in part because they were like, we're going to do this. No, we're not listening to you. I don't know, but I think he deserves a lot of credit. And I think, you know, he was working his butt off for a long time at a privately held company that was more intimate and private, and then when they sold to Microsoft, it became part of a corporate machine, and that just raises the standards. It changes how things work, and because the company needs quarterly reports and they need to know how everything's going on a month-to-month basis, you can't do things the way you used to do. Those paid mods become way more important, you know, because you have to justify, where's your revenue for this quarter? Oh, you don't have any because you didn't release a game? Okay, that's a problem, because especially if we're doing layoffs next year, this is going to look bad. It's like, well, we're working on a game that's going to make a lot of money in 2-3 years when we launch. Doesn't matter. Your revenue's bad right now. You know, we're playing the short-term game. It's the problem with going public and getting part of these one of these big companies versus going and staying private. It changes how things work.
Jonah Loeb said in my interview too, stating that Bethesda were victims of their own success. And now we have this article from Games Radar stating how upset Pete was with the now infamous collector's edition of Fallout 76.
Quote, we cannot charge $300 for this. It's effing insulting. Pete Hines said about Fallout 76's infamous collector's edition, saying it was, quote, probably the dumbest thing I ever did at Bethesda. Woof.
With him stating that it was an insult, which directly reflects his remarks about Bethesda's obsession over revenue. In this video, I'm going to explain Bethesda's rise, their peak, and their inevitable fall. Before we get started, if you are new here and enjoy video game analysis, reviews, and news, please consider subscribing. Anyway, let's get into it. Bethesda Softworks was founded in 1986 by Christopher Weaver. In 1988, Julian LeFay joined the tiny studio, just 4 employees working out of Weaver's house, 2 in development and 2 in admin. At this time, Bethesda wasn't making RPGs, mainly sports games such as Wayne Gretzky Hockey. The game sold well and led to a movie license for the Terminator thanks to Weaver's Hollywood connections. Another key figure, Ted Peterson, soon joined as a writer. He worked on the Terminator 2029 and Rampage, which were both well received. But Bethesda's breakthrough came in '94 with The Elder Scrolls I Arena. Originally a fighting game, staff like LeFay and Peterson shifted its direction towards role-playing. The game shipped with limited RPG mechanics, but it set the stage for its sequel, Daggerfall, a massive open-world RPG with one of the largest game maps ever. LaFay and Peterson built the Elder Scrolls universe and lore that we know today, and Daggerfall's success established Bethesda as a leader in RPGs. Around this time, Todd Howard joined the team. By 1999, Bethesda faced financial trouble. Weaver partnered with Robert Altman to form ZeniMax Media, Bethesda's new parent company. Disputes soon forced Weaver out, but Bethesda remained central to ZeniMax.
Yeah, if you don't know Weaver, he was like kind of, it's so confusing, but he was one of the founders and worked his butt off for a long time. Yeah, as you can see here. Christopher Weaver, is there a picture of him? Looks like a fun guy, but here, yeah, this is him. This is him. Christopher Weaver. This guy. So he worked on this, of course. He was credited with Bethesda making the first real-time physics engine for sports simulation. When he left the studio, so as you can see, Weaver contributed to the stake in Bethesda to ZeniMax. He served as CTO until 2002, then was pushed out. He filed a lawsuit against ZeniMax, claiming he was ousted by his business partners and was owed severance when ZeniMax didn't renew his employment contract. The lawsuit was ongoing as of 2007, and at that time, Weaver was still a 33% stockholder. And I've tried to do digging. I'm still not sure what happened with it, but I think he got a fat stack when they sold, because I think he still owned major chunks of the company when they sold to Microsoft. So, you know, he got out. He did okay, but anyway.
The next big project was the Elder Scrolls III Morrowind, with Todd Howard as project lead. Unlike Arena and Daggerfall, which relied on procedurally generated content, Howard pushed for a handcrafted map.
I want it handcrafted. Jimbo, thank you for the 10. Have you all seen the real-time travel in Daggerfall? Apparently the map is estimated to be about the size of the UK. Yeah, it's one of the early versions of procedural generation of maps and stuff. It is bafflingly huge, bigger than pretty much any other game like it. You know, in a lot of ways, way ahead of its time for sure.
Leadership sided with him, prompting LaFay's exit, though he did later return and consulted on the project. To shape Morrowind, Bethesda brought in Ken Rolston, a former tabletop RPG designer. His influence gave the game its narrative depth, faction politics, and morally complex decision-making. Released in 2002 on both PC and Xbox, Morrowind sold over 4 million copies, introduced console players to RPGs, and cemented Bethesda's reputation.
And this is one of the things that I think is crucial to remember about early Bethesda. So, like Bungie, for example, with Destiny, they blew up because they were the first ones to really introduce that like MMO looter shooter thing to consoles. And it blew up, did amazingly well. And their goal with Marathon was to introduce like extraction hardcore shooters to console. And they thought that that would blow them up into mass success. And for Bethesda, when they came in with Morrowind and they offered like intense RPG gameplay, that had never really happened before on the console side of things. It just hadn't happened. And so they were the only players in that space with no real competition, and they dominated for sure.
Both Peterson and Julian LaFay left after its release. Next came the Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion. While it streamlined its RPG mechanics, cutting them back, it looked more polished, offered voice-acted characters, and it sold 9.5 million copies, winning Game of the Year. Rolston then departed shortly afterwards. Bethesda then acquired the Fallout franchise from Interplay, releasing Fallout 3 to strong reviews and 12 million in sales. Bethesda had proven it could build more than just the Elder Scrolls. Their magnum opus arrived in 2011 with the Elder Scrolls Skyrim. Though many veterans had left, a young close-knit team pulled it off. As artist Jonah Loeb described in interviews, the group was small, everyone wore many hats, and creative freedom was high, almost like a modern indie studio. The result? One of the most successful games ever, selling over 60 million copies and winning Game of the Year. Bethesda at this point were known as the industry darlings. They created some of the most iconic games ever, always over-delivered on what was expected, and they had a strong relationship with their fans. We trusted them. Bethesda followed this with Fallout 4, its most successful launch, though criticized for shallow writing, limited RPG depth, and a heavy focus on settlement building. By this point, Bethesda's pattern was clear. Each game looked better, played bigger, and outsold the last. But the cracks were starting to show.
Well, I think it's also no coincidence that once the core like RPG designers left, the RPG stuff started to get left behind and abandoned and forgotten. And it was cut even at times in pursuit of other things that Todd deemed more important. That's why I've said for a long time, as have many other people, Bethesda games aren't really RPGs in the true sense of the term as it relates to old school like CRPGs. It's just not. You know, a real RPG, a true to God role-playing game is something like a Baldur's Gate, where there is an insane amount of variation in choosing your role, both morally and in terms of gameplay, and it can vastly change how things play out differently. That's just not what Bethesda games are. What Bethesda is amazingly good at, or at least were, was open world adventure and building worlds that you wanted to get lost in. Like, that's what they were really, really good at. And I think it's why New Vegas, what it like is so beloved today, is because it gives you a taste of Obsidian, or rather, it gives you a taste of Bethesda open world design mixed with Obsidian, old school Obsidian level RPG design and writing. And it's a hybrid that you don't really get anywhere else. Amazing open world exploration, something you just want to get lost in. And then also phenomenal writing, factions, consequence for your actions and decisions. And that's exactly what people were hoping Bethesda would do moving forward. But that's not the types of games that they make, or at least not since like Oblivion. They haven't, or Morrowind, they haven't really tried to do that. And it's because the guys that were the advocates for the RPG systems left. So the only people left were the guys that have been running Bethesda for the last 2 decades, basically. And they are not that into role-playing games. They aren't that interested. Luke, what's your evidence they're not that interested in role-playing? The fact that they've cut so many of the systems. You know, even at times, something as simple as the ability to kill an NPC, they remove the ability to do it because that could affect a quest line. So instead, the guy drops to his knees. They set his like reputation with you down to the bottom, if that's even tracked in these instances. And then next time you talk to him, it's back to normal. It's like, anyway, what I was saying is, I need you to go get me a ham and cheese sandwich from this galaxy 5 miles or 5 trillion light years away. Thank you. And he just like acts like you never shot him in the face. It's frustrating, but it's because like they are not making RPGs; they're making something else, like open world
Ralston
games.
Peterson and LaFay gone, Bethesda drifted from deep role-playing games towards a more action open world model.
Yeah.
Skyrim was technically superior to Morrowind, with better graphics, smoother gameplay, and massive scope, but it offered fewer RPG choices, shallow dialogue, and Radiant quests that felt endless. Fallout 4 doubled down, leaning more toward a looter shooter with weak writing and repetitive quest design. The shift was clear. Complex role-playing gave way to streamlined action. So at this point, Bethesda had, on the surface, managed to surpass each previous release in terms of sales and appearance, but underneath, they continued to veer from the original blueprint that led to their early success. Great staff had left and were replaced with those with different values. Fans had started to become divided. At this point, the focus became about revenue, rather than making great games, as Pete Hines has stated. Fallout 4 introduced paid mods, whereas before they were free. Now they charged for fan creations and took a slice of the pie, introducing a new revenue stream. The Elder Scrolls Online released, which used a subscription expansion model to generate recurring revenue, and Skyrim re-released 6 times for 10 consoles in 10 years, giving Bethesda a reason to keep income flowing. Skyrim Anniversary Edition was literally just the base game mixed in with fan-made mods and shipped for full price. Greed had consumed Bethesda. And then in 2019, everything came crashing down with the release of Fallout 76. After the success of Fallout 3 and 4, the concept of an even bigger game with better graphics and online play seemed like a slam dunk. Up until this point, Bethesda had never missed. Fallout 76, though, launched in a disastrous state, riddled with bugs far beyond Bethesda's usual Bugfesta reputation. Players faced disappearing characters, T-posing enemies, broken quests, crashes, lag, and countless glitches that made the game virtually unplayable. Reviews from critics and fans alike were overwhelmingly negative. The game had been developed not by Bethesda's main team but by their Austin studio, who faced the impossible task of turning the already fragile creation engine into a massive online world 4 times the size of Fallout 4, all under tight deadlines.
So this I've heard conflicting storylines on. And it's interesting because the story has sort of changed over the last 7 years or so, noticeably when it's convenient for whoever's talking. So when Bethesda launched Fallout 76, the discourse, well, let me back up even further. The initial marketing for Fallout 76 framed it as being a collaborative effort by Bethesda's main team in Maryland and the team in Austin, Texas. There's the No Clip documentary on Fallout 76, which released shortly before the game came out. You can see here, No Clip. This was June of 2018. So right after the announcement, they did this documentary. And in that documentary, they show clips of the development of the game at Maryland. So they show like the team in Maryland working on it. They show members of the team working on it in Maryland. You know, it's not the team in Austin. And Todd is, of course, talking about all the work they've done. And of course, they mention that, you know, they have other people working on it. But you notice who's doing these interviews. It's not new faces. It's the core guys like Emil and Todd. And yes, that is the guy. We looked at it. But this is the same guy that left Bethesda to make that indie game. He did launch it recently, actually. But yes, that is the same guy. Yeah, after doing this and launching Fallout 76, he left and made his own solo indie team of just himself, and he put out his very own game, which is kind of cool. Fallout 76 kind of broke him. But you see, like, they are framing this all around it being a Bethesda Game Studios production, and they're showing the people in Maryland. And this is when they're marketing it. The game comes out. All of a sudden, the narrative shifts, and they start to say that this was a Bethesda Game Studios Austin production, kind of pivoting away and saying they should get the blame for it. It's not us. Stay excited for Starfield. It was them. And then the story shifted again once Fallout 76 started to kind of have a resurgence, especially with the show. And now anytime they talk about Fallout 76, Todd is there and they are very, very proud of it. And it's part of the Bethesda Game Studios family of games. And so all of a sudden now they're back on it. So who knows what the actual truth is? My understanding, having spoken to people that worked on the game, is that Maryland was much more involved than they made it out to be. So they were very actively working on it. Basically, while they were working on Fallout 76, the tech team that probably should have been helping with Fallout 76, they were doing a lot of the procedural tech building that they would use in Starfield. So that's part of the reason that it kind of got split up, and why they took 3 years to do this spin-off project, because they needed to do a lot of groundwork for Starfield. So, yeah, it's my understanding is that the framing of it was Austin, not Maryland. That's something Bethesda has put out when it's convenient for them to put it out. But it seems as though Maryland was actually much, much more involved than they wanted you to believe in the past. They were working on it a lot. So anyway, moving on, continuing.
Corners were cut, features were rushed, and the release was incomplete. Word of its failure spread quickly online, tanking reviews and sales, making it the worst-selling Fallout to date. To make matters worse, when players flooded Bethesda with refund requests, the company initially agreed, but later refused refunds to anyone who had downloaded the game, further enraging fans and damaging their reputation. Fallout 76's problems didn't end with just the game itself. many fans have pre-ordered the expensive collector's edition, advertised to include a high-quality West Tech canvas bag. But when it arrived, buyers found a cheap nylon bag instead.
Young.
Bethesda admitted that the canvas version was too expensive and initially refused to make it right, despite having marketed it differently.
I really do think that there was the customer service group within Bethesda Game Studios. There is something about them where they are involved in multiple controversies year after year after year. So like literally like with Fallout 76, they were posting stuff like this. We're sorry that you're not happy with the bag. The bag shown in the media was a prototype and was too expensive to make. We aren't planning on doing anything about it. That's how they signed it off. Crazy. This is the same team, the Bethesda like customer service group. This was the subset of the customer service group that worked on merchandising, but it's still part of their customer service like team, managed by the same people. And that's the same customer service team that responded to Starfield refund requests by saying stuff like, or bad reviews on Steam, by saying stuff like, well, when the astronauts went to the moon, they certainly weren't bored, and stuff like that. It's crazy. Like there's something within the customer service training or leadership that just makes some funny reactions that are just unhinged.
And initially refused to make it right, despite having marketed it differently. After the backlash, they promised real canvas bags within 6 months, but the Redemption website was so poorly built that it leaked users' personal data, and some fans never received their replacements, even today. Another fiasco came with the Nuka-Cola Dark, an $80 collectible rum bottle advertised in a custom Nuka-Cola glass. What customers actually received was a cheap plastic shell around a regular rum bottle. Fans felt deceived again, and Bethesda's dismissive responses, blaming costs, denying misleading ads, and refusing refunds, only deepened the outrage. And the worst thing is, they sold this collector's edition for a staggering $300, despite its value being far from that. Pete Hines has just said this: "My first reaction was, when did we add a canvas bag to this collector's edition? Because the version I approved didn't have one. They were trying to add more value to the collector's edition. We were always fighting with the finance people about margins, right? I would throw fits around. We cannot charge $300 for this. It's insulting." So just from this recently released article, we can really get a strong feeling for what was going on at the studio during this time. They had very little regard for their own fan base, essentially just telling them to get over it. Even their marketing director knew it was overpriced. The fans were no longer the priority. The profit was. Now add to that, Fallout 76 veered greatly from previous entries and was solely online with a focus on making revenue. Memberships, pets, fishing, DLCs, and microtransactions dominate your screen after logging in, squeezing as much money as possible from players. The majority of fans of single-player games didn't connect with the new entry, but Bethesda didn't care. They locked in on those who did enjoy it, with their goal being to extract as much money as possible from the whales who played that game. Microtransactions look good on the bottom line. With this new strategy, Bethesda...
And it's why I've said, Todd has been very coy about what comes after Elder Scrolls 6. Everyone asked him, so is it Fallout 5? And he's like, well, when I said Fallout 5 is after that, I meant at some point in the future. And you're like, what? What do you mean? What do you mean? Why won't you just say the next game after Elder Scrolls 6 is Fallout 5? He's like, well, I said that after Elder Scrolls 6, we will of course be doing Fallout 5, but that just means sometime in the future. If it was next, you would just say it's next. Why aren't you just saying it'll be next? And I think it's because something else is next. I think that's why. And if you know that this is the kind of stuff that they want to do, I think we're going to just see more of it.
Bethesda were no longer seen as the darlings of the industry.
My suggestion is like they're going to do their own Elder Scrolls Online, like Elder Scrolls 76, or even a Starfield 76 or something. That's my suspicion as to what they're up to. I think it's in line with their recent behavior. It's in line with their desire for more recurrent revenue. They've used Starfield as up there as part of their core pillars, but they don't have a live service offering for it. The reason why I think it could be Elder Scrolls related specifically, though, is because I also think that if Microsoft is looking at doing mass layoffs, I think that they're more likely to lay off people at ZeniMax Online because they recently unionized. We all know what Microsoft thinks about unions. And they already laid off a chunk of that studio, shutting down the Project Blackbird. So they might shut them down and then have Bethesda put their own Elder Scrolls Online offering up.
And this new entry reflected their shift in direction. They went from providing some of the greatest open world RPGs of all time to catering to a more mainstream audience to then providing an online MMO. After this game's release, Bethesda's reputation took a beating, but it would only get worse in 2020 when Microsoft announced they would acquire the company for $7.5 billion. After this, Starfield would be released. Now, I've made about 6,000 videos on why Starfield was a letdown, which will be linked in the description, but here's a short summary. Starfield ultimately disappointed because it abandoned the studio's strongest feature, handcrafted open worlds in favor of bland procedurally generated planets, repetitive copy-paste dungeons and empty exploration. Weak writing, unimaginative lore, lifeless quests, and shallow role-playing compounded the problem, leaving little reason to keep playing after the first 20 hours. While a small fanbase remains loyal, most saw Starfield as a directionless experiment that once again moved away from the formula that had made Bethesda successful. The game flopped. So Microsoft came in and began...
I don't mean to be pedantic. I don't think it flopped. Because there is a technical definition of flopping, dare I say floppage, and I don't think it met that definition. I think it probably turned a profit. Hype was through the roof, okay? Hype was crazy high for the game. A lot of people pre-ordered it to play it early. Even if they played it on Game Pass, you could pay an extra $35 to play it a week early with everybody else that got the premium edition. So I don't... And I'm no fan of Starfield, but I have seen no evidence that it flopped, because flopping implies like losing money. I don't think they lost money. I think they made money, and I think that the recurrent revenue probably also helped them make a lot of money and profit. But yeah, anyway.
Implementing changes immediately with a bigger emphasis on turnover. Elder Scrolls Online changed for the worse, video here, 76 went harder on microtransactions, and the Oblivion remaster released with minimal changes and for full price. Whilst Microsoft has publicly emphasized creative freedom, the underlying reality is that Bethesda's projects must now justify their place within Microsoft's broader financial strategy. The Oblivion remaster showcased this, with the game releasing with minimal changes from the 2006 original, but with the price tag of a new game, displaying Bethesda's new requirement to take advantage of long-term fans and maximize income. And then we have Pete Hines' quote, "There's just no question that the company is not the same. It's been radically changed and altered from the company that we built. It is what it is, things change, things move on, but at its height, it was a really special thing to be a part of." From his words, it's clear that the company is no longer what it was, and that is such a shame when you look back at what they were. Oblivion was my first ever open world game, and I will never forget exiting the sewer and being greeted to this view. Or when I left Vault 101 in Fallout 3 to see this. And I will never forget approaching the gates of Whiterun on my first Skyrim playthrough.
Oh yeah,
These
dude.
games were made for gaming fans, by gaming fans. Now we get greeted to microtransactions in a menu instead. Over time, Bethesda began drifting from the core formula, deciding to opt for a more user-friendly, simplified experience in order to appeal to more players, which would lead to inevitably more profit. But as a result of this change, they lost connection with their day one fans. And then with Fallout 76, they took their mask off completely, revealing a greedy corporation that only cared about profits. Recently, Bethesda have begun an annual livestream called Fallout Day, and so far they have only introduced new microtransactions for Fallout 76 with not a word on Fallout 5. Starfield received much criticism, but player feedback was met with resistance. Since then, we've seen countless quotes come out from their lead writer, Emil Pagliarulo, stating Starfield is the best game we've ever made. This same lead...
To be fair, he did say in some ways it's the best game we've ever made. Which implies in other ways it's not, which I think is fair. But I think it's pretty clear that there's a fundamental disconnect between the audience.
Neil Pagliarulo stating Starfield is the best game we've ever made. This same lead writer stated fans don't want a good story because they'll spend hours building shacks, despite their previous games having strong writing. When Starfield Shattered Space DLC released to a poor reception, Emil said, "If we understand one thing, it's DLC." Once again showcasing a disconnect between Bethesda and their fan base. So we end up...
Yeah, well, and those comments too, like, I've done a lot of thinking about it, because I was like, what is the best way of describing what he's exhibiting there? Because it really is bizarre. How, like, he could say that he knows DLC. They know DLC really well. It's great. But I really do believe that delusion is the best description of it. A delusion is a firm, false belief that goes against reality and is held despite clear evidence to the contrary. This is also funny. Often occurring as a symptom of psychotic disorder like schizophrenia. I'm not saying he's schizophrenic, but what I'm saying is there is a clear level of delusion within leadership at Bethesda. If they truly believe that Starfield is in a lot of ways the best game they've ever made, if they honestly believe that it's up there with Fallout and Elder Scrolls, if they honestly think that Shattered Space was a solid DLC, a good DLC, worth the money, that is delusional. That it just is. And if you don't think it's delusional, I mean, like, I think I can argue that it is a position you're holding despite clear evidence to the contrary in the form of overwhelmingly negative reviews. The best reviews are mixed, and even then there's very few of them. Most of the reviews are negative for that DLC. Even the people that thought it was decent thought that the price was exorbitant. And then if you're saying it's also one of the best games you've ever made, or in many ways the best game you've ever made, again, I think the ultimate judges of that are the fans paying for it and playing it, not the people making the damn thing. And that also, we can look at empirical metrics and find that it's not. So it fits the definition of delusion, I think. And I think when you're acting based on delusions, it's really hard to deliver something that is an improvement because you don't see anything wrong with what you're doing.
End up in this current situation that we're in today. Bethesda were dominating. They made the best games and pushed the open world genre forward. They excelled not only in sales, but also in reviews. They managed to earn a strong following of dedicated fans who trusted them. Over time, they drifted from their formula and began trying new things, which resulted in their weakest games to date in Fallout 76 and Starfield. The games may have been poor overall, but the game's blueprints also completely differentiated from what their core fan base wanted.
But this is key. This is key, what he just said.
Fallout 76 and Starfield. The games may have been in Over time, they drifted from their formula and began trying new things, which resulted in their weakest games to date in Fallout 76.
Weakest games to date, according to what metric? That's the key. Weakest according to what metric? Because we may find them weak in terms of open world design, in terms of technical polish or whatever, or being comparable to other open world games and contemporaries of the time. Or even like, yeah, average player satisfaction. We can point to these metrics and find it wanting, but is that the metric that they care about? I think the whole premise of the video and the statements by Pete and everybody else seems to indicate that the key metric, or even the only metric that they seem to really care about, is revenue and therefore profits. And that's what they're judging performance on. It's why when Todd was asked, I think it was Greg Miller, he was asked, what he thought of, what Todd thought of the people that didn't love Starfield that much, thought it had problems. And Todd goes, well, there's a lot of people that liked Starfield and a lot of people who liked it a little bit less, or some people that liked it a bit less. But when I look at a game's performance, I'm looking at, the crash rates, the bug rates. We're looking and seeing more players than have ever been in our games ever before. Like, he's looking at overall player engagement, I'm sure spending, I'm sure all of that stuff. It's just not the metrics that we would identify with or care about. But that's why you can start to understand why all of the focus has been reoriented around these live service operations, paid mods, and stuff like that, because that furthers the pursuit of the metric that they do care about. I don't think they care that much about Metacritic scores, because pretty clearly it's not what drives revenue. You can have a 10 out of 10 on Metacritic. It doesn't mean that your game is going to make as much money as Fallout 76, because I think Fallout 76 probably will make a lot more money than most of these games that are getting, nominated for Game of the Year. And it's a little depressing, but that's just how these games work. It's like when you look up and you see how much money a freaking Hearthstone can make in a day or in a month versus a year. You see how much money what's it called, Genshin Impact makes in a year, and you're like, oh my god. Like, it's not even close. They make like 10 Baldur's Gates a year. It's not even close.
6 and Starfield. The games may have been poor overall, but the game's blueprints also completely differentiated from what their core fan base wanted. Fallout 76 released in an unplayable state. They dropped the ball with the collector's edition and refused to take accountability. They continued to solely focus on the MMO, despite fans not really enjoying it. They respond.
Well, single player fans. There are a lot of people who play Fallout 76 and spend a lot of money on it. And you could see that even in the Steam player count numbers after the show dropped. A lot of people went over and played Fallout 76 for the first time, or for the first time in a long time after the show dropped. So there's a lot of people, but pretty clearly it's not the old school audience that liked Fallout 3, for example, or Fallout New Vegas. But again, what does Bethesda ultimately care about? It's the revenue. It's the dollars at the bottom line. And the people that are playing Fallout 76 are willing to spend a lot more money than the old school fans of Fallout 3. They got deeper pockets, and they're conditioned to spend money in these games. Whereas you filthy individual, you only want to play the game that you bought. You want to buy the complete game and not buy microtransactions in it. Get out of here. They're much happier with having fans in a game like Fallout 76 than having 10 times the number of players in a single player game. Like, they're much happier with the paid mods and the people that are willing to spend on that,
negative feedback on their games by fighting their fans, and they continue to say statements that seem so detached from reality that it's almost comical. And now Microsoft has taken over, changing their entire setup. Previous employees have nothing nice to say, and fans no longer enjoy their games or trust them as a company. Add to this, their competitors like CD Projekt Red, Larian Studios and Rockstar have moved so far ahead of them in every aspect that their games now appear more dated than ever, leaving them miles behind. How does this happen? How do you go from being the #1 studio in the world with a strong fan base to falling so far behind and being known as untrustworthy? I'll tell you how. Greed. Bethesda used to stand for something. They had their formula. They had staff who cared about the projects, and they valued customer satisfaction over money. And then slowly, over time, this shifted to being all about milking as much money as possible and disregarding feedback across the board. The stakes and budgets skyrocketed. ZeniMax increasingly pushed Bethesda towards high-margin models, DLCs, microtransactions, and live service games, following the trends of most AAA studios in the...
Dude, I hadn't seen this before. They have crown crates, Dark Brotherhood Crew Steed. Look at that. A mysterious collection of Dark Brotherhood related items. You are guaranteed at least 4 rewards. They're just loot boxes within Elder Scrolls Online. And then Todd will have the gall to say, hey, why did it take 15 years to put out Elder Scrolls 6? And he's like, well, you've had ESO. You've had ESO, so you can just grind out some ESO loot boxes and you'll be happy, right? Oh, man. I hadn't seen Elder Scrolls Online monetization in a bit.
actions and live service games.
OMG, you have no idea of the greed in ESO. Is that worth a deep dive in and of itself? Do I dare?
Following the trends of most AAA studios in the USA at that time. Bottom line numbers were more important than fan satisfaction. Bethesda were at their best when they made games for their fans, when they didn't chase mass appeal or record profits. That was the Bethesda we loved, and with all these changes, I lose more faith each day that the Elder Scrolls 6 will live up to expectations. But no matter what, I will always remember Bethesda for what they were. The studio who made my childhood incredible, rather than what they are today, a studio who represents everything wrong in modern gaming. Like Pete Hines stated, when the studio shifted from a small family-like setup who loved making games to a corporate-like structure that solely focused on profit margins, that was the point of no return and the beginning of the end of the Bethesda we once knew and loved. If there's one lesson Bethesda should take from this fall, it's that their greatest strength was always making games for their fans, not their shareholders. And if The Elder Scrolls 6 is going to live up to its legacy, that's the truth they need to remember. But anyway, that's it for this one.
But will it? Nah. Nah. I think we all know how this story ends. And it's going to be entertaining. But in the meantime, I'm telling you, the hype is going to be out of control. If you thought the hype for Starfield was silly, which it was, it's only going to be even worse. Like, there's going to be so much name calling if you dare to say, let's not, like, get our hopes up too high, because, like, they did Starfield last time. I don't know, but Todd's going to get up on stage. He's going to hype it up. It's going to blow your mind. Going to blow your mind, man. It's ridiculous. So, but I think AVV Gaming is right. The problem started when they started really chasing those dollar bills, and it suffered as a result. And I think that last line is key. If you're making a game for your fans, it'll be a lot better than the game you made for shareholders. But all of this, like, again, you're like, how is it that they keep doing this time and time again when the fans are so clear? It's because that serving you is not the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to increase those margins and the bottom line. And there's plenty of people willing to spend a lot of money on these microtransactions and the Dark Brotherhood crates and Fallout First. Plenty of people out there willing to spend that money. It's not you, probably. But there's a lot of people out there who will spend money on those. And they'd much rather have those people as their fans, quote unquote, than people like you and me who want them to just make a really good game that we play for 15 years. You know, a game like Skyrim is really nice to have in their portfolio. It's a good trophy to have on their shelf, but it doesn't pay the bills beyond 6 or 7 or 8 re-releases, you know, on 10 consoles over 10 years, as he said. But something that does pay the bills is like Fallout 76, where they can just put out another random skin or cosmetic that they charge $10 for, and the guys, the whales in there that spend tons of money on the game will buy it, and the money just keeps pouring in. Yeah. Check out ESO numbers. Their numbers are really going into a deep dive recently. Oh, is it? ESO player count. Is it on Steam? I think it's on Steam. I mean, these numbers look fairly healthy. Elder Scrolls Online, this is just the Steam version, so no consoles or anything, but you can see it peaked in April 2020 and has been doing okay, but it is certainly on a downward trend. Probably 2017 they spiked a ton, but it's starting to go down. But I mean, even now, right now, there's 10,000 people playing the game, which is wild. It's wild, but we'll see. FU got me, yeah. So what I paid for Fallout First and for 2 months, but it had private servers. They got me. Yeah, they did. They got you. ESO and Fallout 76 are going to make sure they'll never change course. I just hate that they won't let another studio work on a mainline game. Well, that would mean giving up control. And And oh, that's nice. They put the little things on here. Free week. That's what caused the player spikes. Okay, that's interesting. I like that they tag that. So they had a free week on Tuesday, August 5th. And it didn't really drive higher player counts. That's interesting. Huh. Anyway. So yeah, I don't see any indication that they're going to change. If they came out and acknowledged the problems with Starfield and like we're trying to make adjustments, but then I'd be more inclined to think that there's maybe going to be an improvement, but I've seen no indication of that. So yeah. Sorry, RP, just so you know, no all caps in chat because it gives me a migraine. Looks like Destiny 2 numbers. How dare you? How dare you? Let's see, I read that one. Okay, yeah. And then I also read that one. Okay, we're good. So anyway, we'll keep an eye on it. I don't think we see anything for another like year and a half. Some people I remember were saying, I think we see Elder Scrolls 6 by the end of 2025. And I was like, I don't think so. But now they're saying next year. And I don't think so about that. But we'll see. Okay. We got through that. Do I have any other funny clips? I don't remember. Oh, I saved this clip. I wonder why.
Oh, damn. What is that, like Mount Everest or something?
Yes, the famous Japanese mountain, Mount Everest, in Ghost of Yote. Yes, he is joking. To be very clear. It is very funny though. I saw that. I chuckled pretty hard. Let's see. Did I have another one? And this one was cool. This is, I think it was Nolan North talking about the original plan for Assassin's Creed. This is just cool.
The original story, as it was written, it was Desmond goes on these adventures, and they said, we're probably going to do about 6 games. And each game, Desmond will get, this was the original pitch, Desmond would get the abilities of his, Altair, and now he has those. Then it's Ezio, and he has them, and then it's going to be this guy. And ultimately, by the last game, he would be the ultimate assassin with all these, and be able to time travel back.
Oh! Why did they use that?
Well,
I'm sorry, I got the bloodline.
Yeah, that one I don't know. I don't know if that would have worked as well as the initial pitch. But there was a lot that they wanted to do that they didn't end up doing. But I thought that was interesting. Interesting little tidbit. Little something for you. Oh, I see some people I know in the related videos. That's funny. Anyway, yeah, so the famous Mount Everest in Ghost of Yote. There you go. Okay. Well, fam. I think I will call it there because I need to go check on the missus and the puppers and everything. So we're going to go do that. Thanks for hanging out with me. This was a joy. Much love. Appreciate the gosh darn heck out of you guys. I will be back on Wednesday, hopefully with Jor to do the podcast, rocking and rolling. It's going to be a good time, okay? Until next time, my friends, much love. Thank you for the amazing super chats and subs and all that. You guys are fantastic. Until next time, much love. See you soon. Bye-bye.